Well, son of a gun. Thank you, Miguel, for pointing out that no one could hear me. I've apparently been talking to myself for the last 8 minutes. Sorry about that. I opened up Audition for the audio processing, but forgot to actually turn on the audio processing. So let's summarize the last couple of minutes, apparently. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. It's normal for me. I have so many things to do when I get home that I just forget about some things. I had a viewer on YouTube request. Basically, his comment was, is there any way you could explain how to trigger a door if the player destroys an actor in the level, i.e. like a boss? So we're going to work on that first before we go to the live stream stuff, the MMO stuff. And I told him there's probably 2 easy ways of doing it. One would be event dispatchers. The other one would be a direct communication. So the boss will tell the door to open when it dies. So we're going to quickly demonstrate how to do both first. So in this case, we have a boss here that we're going to go ahead and destroy. And then when the boss gets destroyed, it's going to go ahead and trigger the door to open and unlock. So right now you can see I can go through it because I don't have collision on the door, because for whatever reason, the door doesn't come with collision built in. I've never figured this one out. The default door doesn't have collision, and I don't know why. The frame has collision, but for whatever reason, the default door doesn't have collision. So there we go. We cannot get through the door. So let's just take our boss, and what we're going to do with the boss is we're going to put a delay in here, and we're going to delay 2 seconds, and then we're going to destroy the boss. Keep in mind, this is just for demonstration purposes. It's showing just an easy way to connect 2 things together and use communication or event dispatchers. How we destroy the boss really doesn't matter in terms of this example. Just the fact he gets destroyed is what's going to trigger this. So what we're going to do is simply kill him after 2 seconds. So after 2 seconds, the boss should go away. So we're good. Now I could put some custom code in here. For example, the boss could check for its life every so often, and once it gets enough life, it triggers its destroy event and stuff like that. There's lots of ways of doing this. The easiest way for me, though, is there is a destroy event. figuring, there we go, destroyed. This gets triggered whenever the actor itself is destroyed. And since I'm calling a destroy actor event, we can guarantee that basically the actor gets destroyed and then this gets called. So we're going to use this basically as our entry point to talk to our item. Now we need to talk to the door. Since this is a one-to-one relationship, this boss dies, this event happens, and it's going to happen to the door. We can make it super simple. We have a door we want to talk to, and it's a type BP door. It's a blueprint of the name BP door. So we'll just go into our boss, and we'll make a new variable. We'll call this one door to talk to. We'll change its variable type to BP door. And we'll find, yeah, this is going to be fun. I have more than one door apparently in here. So let's call this the door, we'll call this the opening door. Is what we're going to call it, BP opening door. This is one of the problems with me having multiple projects in the same project. So we'll go back into here, we'll go back here. Now we'll type in opening and we'll find our opening door. We'll make a reference to it. And then we're going to make sure it's editable. What that's going to do is it's going to allow us to change this inside of our editor. So if we grab our object, now we have a door to talk to, and it's going to ask us what door do we want to talk to, and give us everything inside the editor. We have one available because we only have one door. If we had more than one door, for example, like this, let's say this boss opened this door and then another boss opened this door, we're going to see two of them. But there's a couple ways of grabbing it. We can look at the names. So for example, that's door 2. You can name them whatever you want, or we could use the little eyedropper and click on the door, and now we'll grab the correct one. So now this blueprint right here, this boss, has a direct connection to this exact door. It can talk to that door if it needs to. So if we go back to the boss, we can go, okay, door to talk to. We drag it off. Now we can know which door we want to talk to, and then we can do something to it. Right now, our door has no idea what to do because, well, we haven't told the door to do anything. So let's go into our door itself. And we'll open up the event graph, and we'll make an event just for this door. We'll call it a custom event. We'll call it open the door. And there we go. Now if we save this and compile, and we go back to our boss, now the door that we want to talk to, if we drag off and type open the door, we can tell it to open the door. And now, when this gets destroyed, it's going to grab the door that we have assigned. That's this door right here. And it's going to go, yo, door, I want you to call open the door on yourself. And then the opening door is going to go, okay, and it's going to do whatever it wants to do. So in this case, we're going to just, I don't know. I'm just going to destroy the door. So we're going to grab that local door. Remember, we have a frame and a door inside of here. Grab that local door and just destroy it, because why not? Like that. And let's see if that works. So we go back in here, we hit play, there's a door, and now there's no door. Boss disappeared, door's gone, and we can go right through it. And we can exit, and it'll probably fall off, yep. So that's your basic, simple communication. You have one thing talk to something else directly and tell it to do something. And of course, we can do whatever we want. This thing doesn't care what this thing does. It simply says, yo, I'm going to talk to a door, or I'm going to talk to whatever I've told it to talk to, and I'm going to tell that door to do something. In this case, I'm going to call to open the door. And the open the door is going to be, well, someone told me to do something, so I'm going to do it. In this case, destroy itself, or you know, we can animate the door opening or whatever we want. It's just a direct communication. Now the other way is doing event dispatchers. Basically something listening for something else to happen. Now, I'm going to be honest right now before we even start on this. I almost always forget the order that this is supposed to happen in. So there's a good chance I do it wrong to start with. So let's see if we can remember this. And I shouldn't ever do this wrong, but I almost always do. So inside of our boss, we're going to make an event dispatcher, and we're going to call this we're going to call it was destroyed. That's what we're going to do right here. Now we're going to unhook what we had set up before, because we don't want to use this in this example, and we're going to drag this into here, and we're going to call was destroyed. What this means is when if we get destroyed like before, we're going to do this event dispatcher event that we created called we're going to call was destroyed. And it's got a little envelope here. Basically what that's going to do, it's going to go, yo, I was destroyed. It's simply going to say I was destroyed. That's all that's going to happen. The way event dispatchers work is things can listen for this. It's how it works. So basically we're going to do this in the opposite direction. Before, our boss knew about the door and told the door to do something. Now our door is going to know about our boss and wait for the boss to do something. So if we go into our door, we're going to make a new variable, and we'll call this one boss to listen to. We're going to make it of type boss, because that's our blueprint boss. And then we want to make it editable, because if it's not editable, for example, we go into our door, you can't do anything. We can't tell it which boss to listen to. So we'll go back into our door, make it editable, compile and save. And now our door knows what boss, well, can be told what boss to listen to. We'll click on it and tell it to listen to that boss right there. So now, I gotta stop hitting save. Here, hold on a second. Let me save this map so that way it'll stop triggering it like that. Let's see, boss, triggering door. Let's see, boss, map. There we go. Okay, now it's saved. Now we have our map right here. Now we have a door that knows a boss about a boss. It has nothing to do with it right now. It just knows about a certain boss. Same thing as before. We want it to do something to that boss. So what we're going to do is in our begin play event, so we'll make a begin play. This is going to fire off when our door starts, and we're going to tell our door to do something. We're going to grab the boss to listen to, and we're going to bind an event to something. Binding an event basically means, hey, we want to connect ourselves to something else. We made an event dispatcher called was destroyed. So if we go in here and we do bind was destroyed, you can find bind event to was destroyed. And it's going to create this funky little node with this awesome little red thing, which is a giant pain in the butt to understand. To put this simply, what this does is it says, hey, when my door here starts up, we're going to talk to this boss. We're going to say, hey, boss, I now want to listen to you, and I want to listen to the was destroyed event. So if you ever do something with the was destroyed event, I want to know about it personally. And when you do it, I'm going to do this right here. That's this little event guy right here. I'm going to do whatever is hooked up to here. Now, the nice thing about this is we could go here, and we could do add event, and then we could do custom event, and we could call this blah, and then we hook stuff up. Or, this whole process right here is called assigning. So we could just delete this stuff, and we'll go assign was destroyed. And we have something called assign was destroyed. And all this does is do exactly what we did in 2 steps, but in 1 step. It does this node, and it creates this automatically for us. So it makes it really nice and simple. And in this case, when this event gets called by the owner, this is going to happen. And what we want to do is just we'll copy this code here, and we'll go and destroy that little door. So it'll open up again. Oops. There we go. Put it back. I'm trying to move it down a little bit, make it a little cleaner. There we go. So to summarize this, we're basically saying, hey, boss, you have an event called was destroyed. If you do anything with that event, I want to know about it, and I'm going to go ahead and do this right here. And this right here is destroying the door itself again. So this is our binding to an event, and this is our event itself when something happens. So if we go ahead and run this, and if I set this up properly, we're going to start up the boss. The boss is going to wait 2 seconds and then destroy itself. When it gets destroyed, it's going to say, yo, I was destroyed. I'm going to call this event that is sitting on me and say I was destroyed. Now, it doesn't care who's listening to it. It's simply going to tell everybody who is listening that it was destroyed. Our door, when it starts up, is going to go, yo, boss, I want to listen to that event. And then I'm going to do something when it happens. So if this worked, we should see the same result. There we go. Boss gets destroyed, door gets opened. Same result as the other way we did it, but our difference is the first way, the boss tells the door to do something. The second way, the door is listening to the boss and waiting for something to happen. In this case, getting destroyed. The nice part about the second version, the event dispatcher, is there's no real limit to who can listen. So if you wanted, for example, there, grab another door here, and we'll pull it out, and we'll move this door right here. Here's a completely separate door. We can tell it to listen to the boss as well, and its code is going to basically bind itself to that event. So now we have this door listening to here, waiting for it to get destroyed, and this door waiting for it to get destroyed. We'll hit play, and both doors should get destroyed, as you saw when the boss got destroyed. So that's the nice thing about event dispatchers. Multiple things can listen, and you basically would create a dispatcher for any important event. Was destroyed, was took damage, whatever you want. And you can have things listen for events happening. So for Centrifugal Audio, who put in the request, that is two different ways how you can have a actor destroyed, like a boss, and have a door open or have any event happen. Direct communication and a event dispatcher version. So we're going to wrap this up here. I'm just going to recover what I did on the nodes, so that way they're here on the screen if anyone needed them, and then we'll move on to what we were doing. So for our first version, which is our boss talking to the door, when something happened, in our case, we were destroyed, we are saying, hey, Mr. Door, do something. Open the door, the event we created. And the door is going, hey, someone told me to do something. I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to destroy the little door. In the second version, we created an event dispatcher over here and simply called it was destroyed. And we set it up to call was destroyed when we were destroyed. I mean, I named these things simple, hopefully, to make it easy. This could be called whatever you want. It could be called, oh my gosh, I exploded and I died, so I need to tell everybody I exploded and died. That's a really long name, but it works. So this one basically has no direct connection to anybody. This one is just simply saying, yo, do this when this happens. And the door is going, hey, Mr. Door, not Mr. Door, Mr. Boss, when you get destroyed, I want to know about that. I want to listen to that event called was destroyed. And then I'm going to go and do this. I'm going to kill myself. Okay, that summarizes that. Let me close down the playground. We'll open up the live stream, MMO, go back to that. Hello, Mr. Ryan. No, this is not Persona. I am not playing Persona. You should be playing Persona. Go back to playing Persona. Okay, live stream MMO. Had a couple things happen for anyone who was hanging out on Monday. Monday ended crappily because I managed to get something working, but the stupid server kept crashing on us. Couldn't figure it out. I eventually debugged it. What was happening, and I don't know why, but what was happening is inside of my dedicated server builder thingy, the thing that builds out my dedicated server, there's an option down here called Iterative Cooking. Only cook content modified from previous cook. And it tells you it's recommended to enable this when possible because it makes it much faster. Well, apparently this was not listening to the structure changes, and it caused us to use the old structures, and it was causing a failure. So I unchecked this, and now all of a sudden my server starts working properly. So I'm going to close this and build out a new server just to make sure. The nice thing, though, is once the server got fixed, once I figured out that issue, everything we had done right up to the end was actually working fine. So about 15 minutes later after the stream ended, I actually was able to test everything. And we got loot data saving to the server and loot loading from the server. Also, one thing that's really cool, the plugin we're using for connecting to our server, Socket.io, was updated recently. They finally fixed the connection issue. Basically, when the Unreal game tried to connect to our server and the server didn't exist, it would lock up. Basically, it would lock the thread, the main game thread, because it was trying to connect to the server and not timing out. They changed it, they fixed it, and now we can successfully start and stop the game without any server running, and we'll no longer have a lockup. The game will just simply ignore the fact that there's no server to connect to. So that was really nice to see. So we'll wait for this to finish building out. Unfortunately, it does take a little bit longer because it has to rebuild things. But the nice thing is it's not a huge deal, and it will be faster for the next time. And I want to get this built, then I'm going to run the stuff. We're going to walk through what I finished up. And the nice thing is I think we can skip working on the server for the most part today. I think I got to the point where we're saving and loading properly where we can skip the server. So that'll be nice. So I'll wait for this to finish. This is always fun. Compiling is always the most entertaining thing in the world. While we listen to Sonic. Let's see, what else is there? Yeah, because that's still linking and building. Okay, so one other thing that was cool is before I kept saying I had to restart the server, start the servers, and I kept having to have things closing, which was super annoying. I decided to be unlazy, and I made batch files to start up our servers. And then I found a really cool node module called node-mon that will basically, every time we edit the code, will restart the server automatically. So I took the time to make everything running better, which is good. Yes, Ryan, have you even played Persona yet? Have you actually played it? I would be curious to know how much fun it is. I think you should go play it for about 2 hours and then come back and tell us how much fun it is. I literally just spent all the money we have trying to get the wife a new tablet for her work. So she has one because her older tablet kind of sucks. So I don't have the money to go get Persona right now. So Ryan is enjoying teasing me. So we started up our server. Let's go into our login screen. And this is what I meant. We'll hit play. I have nothing running on my side. And you'll notice no lockups. They fixed the error with things locking up. So we're happy about that. iRayo, is your UE4 from GitHub? Yes. In order to build out a dedicated server, you have to build from the source code to build out a dedicated server. So while this is the 4.15 release, it is the source code version of the 4.15. But it's still pretty much the same as the 4.15 launcher version. You have to have C++ classes with the source code to build out the dedicated server. It's just the way it's the way it is. That's just what it is. So let me go ahead and start up Mongo. Here's our database server. And then we're going to go ahead and start up our dedicated server. I made a batch file for that finally. We'll move that over here. This is our Unreal Engine dedicated server. And then we'll start up our node server. And you can see right here it's got a nice thing where it'll auto restart. Cool. Now we'll go ahead and hit play. I went ahead and I basically wiped the database. That was the other thing I did. So now I don't have all those 1s and 2s and 3s. I have one character in here, which I did with CCCC. Make it easier on me. We'll log into it. And here's our character. And we'll notice if I hit C, we have our name, the proper class, proper experience. We have some coins already here. And our proper values. Now I'll go ahead and close this. I have a debug command set up to basically destroy a random enemy in the scene and give ourselves 10 coins. So if I hit Y, you'll notice one of the monsters disappeared. We have 3 normally, and in a second it'll respawn. But if we hit C, we'll notice we have 40 coins. Now this is just not coins on the client side. If I close down the game, restart it, and log back in, we'll find apparently that it crashed. That's... okay, well I crashed the dedicated server somehow. Let's try this again. That was the opposite result of what I was trying to do. Oh, of course. If it can't be a If we can't have problems when we start, it's not a normal day, huh? Okay. The server itself got a little bit upset. There we go. Okay. So here is 40 coins. So we'll run this again. Log in. Huh. Well, this is a great start to the day. I've managed to somehow get the server to crash if we log in twice. Huh. Okay, well, I will take back the fact that I said I got everything working nice and happy and rephrase that into everything was working. Oh, lovely. Okay. What I was trying to show, and failing miserably, is we do have dedicated server saving now. We have a basic loot loop in place where we're receiving coins from the monsters when they die. Those coins are being sent to the server. The server's validating the information. The server's updating the saved entry for our character in the database. And then sending back the updated information so the character itself gets updated on our screen. We're not actually doing anything till the server validates it. So we have that loop working properly. I have no idea why the server's crashing. I don't really care at this point. We'll figure that out later. It has nothing to do with this stuff. We'll have to figure this out in a bit. But for now, I'm not worried about it. It's not going to matter for the stuff we're doing today. That's the nice thing. So... basically trying to figure out what I want to work on today. And Ryan, I don't want you to get me Persona just because I don't have enough time to play it right now. I do appreciate the offer and idea. We'll put a little bookmark in it, and after the stream we can chat about it. Let's look at our list, and here's our list of what we're planning on working on. Right now, in terms of the game itself, we have a login screen and a game screen. A login screen and a world map. I should rephrase that. And we have a basic debug setup where if we destroy a monster, the monster has its loot rules processed and things happen. What I'm thinking of doing, because right now if we go into our monster and we go into our base monster, and if we go in here and we find our code, we'll find handling giving out loot. Right now, this is temporary, because all we're doing is handling, giving out to everyone in the screen. We have no actual aggro list on the monster. And then when we actually handle giving out loot in the game mode, we are doing it in terms of a test. We're test handing out loot instead of actually handing out loot. And the reason for that is our monsters don't have any way of actually being killed normally. So what I'm thinking is, let's put in just a basic combat system. We'll set it up where, you know, the player can turn on attack, and then the player can be, if it's within range of the monster, it'll do damage to the monster. If the monster is within range of the player, it'll do damage to the player, and just a simple basic attack. No skills, none of that stuff. Just a simple I swing, it swings, have a little bit of cooldown between each attack, and get some sort of basic attack system in place so we can naturally kill the monster, naturally get a loot, an aggro table set up, and naturally get loot assigned. I think that's a good next starting point. If anyone disagrees with me, let me know. If not, that's what we're going to work on. And the nice thing is all this stuff is inside of the engine. We don't have to work with that evil JavaScript program anymore, for now. Okay, so what might be the smartest way to do this? How are we going to do this? Our AI has got a behavior tree, and it's got our basics, and it's got our move to. So we can always add in a separate task after this to do attacking. So I think that's the easiest thing to do. Basically, find a target, move to the target, and then we can... it would be down here, actually. We'd put it down here. We'd have a sequence of move to, and then we have attack. This is our return. You know, I should probably start commenting these things. Return to our home if we have no target. Okay, there we go. That's what I need to do. And then, whoops, move this down. if we have a target, move to it. There we go. And then move to, we'll set up an attack. Okay, so this will be a basic. Let's see. Oh no, votes, I wrestle with JavaScript all day. I don't want to wrestle with JavaScript all day. We're not going to do it. Ryan votes, I play Persona all day. I am not going to play Persona all day. I've unfortunately also got a confession. I've reactivated my Warcraft account yesterday, and I'm back to playing Warcraft, which is a horrible, horrible addiction. Okay. Let's see if we can get our player to kill stuff. Ryan, technically, Warcraft can't wait. They have the 11-week event going on right now for the 7.2 patch. So it can't wait. Technically, I'm on a timer every single day, and if I don't do it, I'll be 1% behind everybody else, and then the world will literally end. So, it's Warcraft. There's a chance I will play Persona, Ryan. I will harass you about this in a couple hours. Let's work on the game itself, the MMO stuff right now. I forgot. Okay, so our player. How are we going to set up a basic attack for our player? So here's our character. Okay, let's just set up some basic stuff and see if we can get this working. So we're going to have auto attack, and we're going to turn this into a Boolean, and we're going to turn it to false. So basically, if auto attack is running, we're going to do stuff. What is the skeletal mesh tool where you can view animations? What is that called? I believe Persona, right? Yeah. Oh, seriously? Oh my gosh, Ryan, he needs some help. He needs some help, guys. Okay. So we're going to have an auto attack. If auto attack's turned on, we're going to run through our auto attack code. We're going to set up some basic variables. These are... We're going to turn these into mods. So we're going to have mod attack delay. And this will be our modified attack delay. And we're going to have to turn this into a float. This is going to be our time between auto attacks, is what this is going to be. So actually, we need to make this into an auto attack delay. Yeah, I did not see it coming. That was funny. And we'll go ahead and set our default auto attack delay to 1.5 seconds is what we're going to do. We're going to have to do other things such as cooldowns on skills. But for now, auto attack. This is an event that's going to fire off based on a timer. It's going to keep track of itself. You could think of it, if you do traditional programming, kind of like a lambda, where it's going to loop DAC on itself. But all we're going to do is call this event when auto attack turns on. So we actually need to be able to turn on auto attack. So that might be a smart thing to do. So let's go to our project settings. Let's go to input. And let's set up a new action mapping. And we'll call this one toggle auto attack. And traditionally, I put that on the E key on my keyboard. So I'm going to put that on the E key on the keyboard because that's where I want to put it. And that's going to be my toggle auto attack. There we go. So let's move some stuff down here. So we'll do toggle auto attack. Whenever we toggle auto attack, this is going to basically flip our auto attack Boolean. So we're going to not our current Boolean. Can I just have a not? Thank you. And we're going to grab the auto attack. So this is going to flip it. So if we had auto attack on, it's going to shut off. If it have it off, it's going to turn it back on. And then we're going to do an if from here. This is me thinking off the top of my head, so we'll see if this works. Let's see. How much performance does dedicated server eat? Is it good to handle on my own PC, or is it better to deploy? Better to deploy for security reasons, performance. Dedicated servers use tiny amounts of performance, and they're not rendering anything. Here's my dedicated server. Let's check out Task Manager. So it's called the Unreal Age of Ultima is what we called it. If I can find it in this giant task. Here we go. Wait, where'd it go? Is it at the top? There we go. Here's the dedicated server right now that we're running. Right now, nothing's connected to the dedicated server. This is just the main map loaded up. So it's this map right here, the world map, loaded up with 3 enemies right now and a nav mesh and a player. Technically, that's all that's on the server right now. It's using up 92 megs of memory and 0% processing because, well, it's doing nothing right now. Yeah. It's a headless server, which means there's no graphical display at all like Ryan's bringing out. It's not rendering anything. The biggest advantage of running these things on a dedicated server, which we will be deploying to once we actually get the server stable enough. I have a Azure server set up for it. Is the bandwidth and the scalability is your biggest thing with a dedicated server. Performance-wise, though, it's going to be significantly less than the game client itself because it's not graphical. Let's actually check that out. Let's put this on always on top. So we'll do this always on top right here. We'll go ahead. Let's move it over to bit. We'll start our login screen map. We'll go ahead and go here. We'll log in. I don't remember if we logged in and crashed it earlier. Okay, so here we go. So if we look on the right, this is what the client is using. We're using up 16% of my CPU and 1.5 GB of memory. The server is handling all of the AI right now for these monsters. So right now you can see me running around and the server's handling all the AI for me and all the replication. It's handling, if I kill them, for example, like that, it's handling the transfer between the node server, and you can see it's got roughly 93 megs of memory and it's using less than 0.5% of my CPU to handle the basic stuff. And you can see it fluctuating based on what I'm doing in the world right now. And if I was to go ahead and kill our client, you should see it probably goes back down to almost nothing because no one's connected to it. So, and you can see the actual engine itself is using up, way more. So there you go. There's a real example of how much the dedicated server does. If I was to run this in a listen server mode, so not dedicated, you'd be looking at roughly what we saw here. It's based because the listen server is going to work as a client as well. So you're going to see what we saw here, 1.5 GB of memory and roughly 20% CPU usage for the server. Get up. I think that was a good question. I liked it. Okay, so let's see. Toggle auto attack. If auto attack is on, we're going to start up our auto attack. If it's off, we're going to shut off our auto attack. So we're going to do a set timer by function name. And this is basically going to be our auto attack event is what it's going to be. And then we'll set this up as a variable. This is going to be our auto attack timer event. Is this the timer event, right? Timer handle. Timer handle. That way we can clear that out because what we're going to do is grab it here and we're going to clear this because if they shut off auto attack, we no longer want to auto attack. So that should take care of that for now. We need an actual event and we need a time. Our time is going to be basically from now until our attack delay. Now the question here is, if we turn on auto attack, there's a couple issues here we have to think about. And it's in order to try to prevent our players from gaming the system. If we fire off the auto attack immediately and then have it do a single attack, for example, and then call itself later after our delay, we allow the player to get instant feedback and a good feel for the game. They'll basically hit attack, and instead of waiting to swing, we're going to hit once, kind of like we had preparation, and then it's going to continue with our auto attack delay. The problem with that, with the way we have this set up now, is they hit auto attack, it does our attack and starts our timer. They turn off auto attack, which then invalidates our timer, and then they turn on auto attack again, which makes them attack again. So we have kind of a catch-22 there. The proper way of handling this is probably to make sure our auto attack delay timer, our whole system, doesn't clear itself until the timer has reset itself. That's what I'm kind of thinking we should do. I just don't know how to, I don't know how I'm going to code that in yet, but that's what I'm thinking. So basically, they can start attacking, it'll swing, they can stop attacking, they can hit attack again, but that auto attack will not reset itself until the timer has elapsed. That's what we're going to do. Let's make another custom event, and we'll call this one do auto attack. And this is where we're actually going to auto attack whatever's near us. And this is where we'll do a line trace or a cone trace. I haven't quite figured out what we're going to do yet. Cone trace, line trace, sphere trace, some form of a trace in our attack radius. And if anything's there, then we're going to go ahead and deal damage to it. If not, we'll do a message like, no enemy within range, or, you need a target or something like that. Because technically, you can turn on auto attack without a valid target or a valid target in range, and we should still allow it. We just need to handle the errors. So do auto attack is our message. That's what we're going to call here. We are going to... Okay, so this is what I'm thinking. This is how I think we can handle this. Grab our auto attack timer like this. And we'll see if this is valid. And we'll do an if check here. And do this. And I've started to have stuff on top of each other, so that's not helpful. We'll try doing something like this. If they turn on auto attack, and we already have a valid timer handle for auto attack. If we don't have a valid auto attack timer, there we go. We're going to go ahead and turn on the auto attack timer. We're going to call it immediately. Crap. Okay, so this is the bad way of handling this right here. This should not be handled in here. We are going to call our auto attack function right here. Here we go. So that way it calls it immediately. And then we'll move this stuff into our do auto attack. And then we'll have this one simply do nothing. We'll have this one do nothing. Okay. I think this is what we're going to try. We're going to try this. Let's see what happens. Move this code over here. Grab all this code. We're going to move it down to our auto attack section, and we'll start playing with it over here. Okay. So when auto attack gets called, basically when we have a valid amount of time passed between our last auto attack, we're going to want to do something. So I think here what I'm going to do is we're going to check and see if auto attack is actually turned on or not. Now we're going to do another check. I know this seems weird, but we're going to do a check once we actually called our swing, basically. If they're not supposed to be auto attacking, we'll go ahead and clear our timer. This means that this should only ever get called once we have a valid amount of time passed. This is my thought process in this right now. Okay, cool. I think we're good. Yep. If, and then this code right here, we're going to put at the end. Okay, cool. I think we are good. We'll do that right there. Yep, I think we're good. Cool. Check here. Clear and invalidate if we've got one. I don't know. Will that, I guess we're going to learn something. If this can technically give us, well, we'll learn if this gives, you know what, it would be probably smarter to do this. I'm just going to grab some code. I think it would be smarter to validate we have an actual timer before we attempt to clear it, just for safety's sake. It seems unpure to basically clear a timer handle if we don't actually have a timer handle, if that anyone makes sense on that one. Normally we have a validate node that would work, but it only works with objects. It won't work with the timer handle. And hello, Julian. Okay, I like this. I like this right here. This is basically saying, hey, we've now passed our auto attack time. Is auto attack still turned on? Because maybe, for example, they hit auto attack and then they didn't mean to. We don't want to actually swing if they've turned it off in the middle. If they don't want to auto attack anymore, see if we have an actual timer ticking still. And if we do, shut it off. And clear it and validate it. So now we have an invalid timer. Okay, cool. So this is our code for our actual auto attack event. So do we want to do attack still. So now we need to actually check for something in front of us, and we need to actually do any sort of code, and then if we did have something, then we set up our timer for our next version. I think I'm going to turn this into a function so we have it clean, because we're going to end up doing some sort of traces. So let's do a new trick. Let's do check for valid target in range. And we can make this nice and simple. This is what will be nice. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna shoot. Julian, do you have a software engineering degree or just a hobbyist? I have no degrees simply because I've never gone to a proper school for it, because you're just spending money to get a piece of paper that says you went to school to spend money to get a piece of paper. There's nothing you can't learn outside of school that you can learn inside of school. So I've just been doing it outside of, you know, a proper education for decades at this point. So a question here. We have the ability right now to try to make something generic, or we can make something specific. Well, this is what I mean by this. Our character at some point is going to have skills. Those skills are going to have specific requirements to work properly. Assuming the requirements to fire the skill is okay. For example, let's say it's a fireball, and our requirement to cast a fireball is mana. Let's say that requirement has passed. Now we're at the point where we actually want to check and see if that fireball should actually activate and do damage. In this case, it would be something like, do we have something within our cone of sight, and is it within range? I'm wondering, we have a couple options. This is what I was trying to get to and I got sidetracked. We can make a generic function, check for valid target and range, or check for valid target, or whatever we want to call it, and have it take in inputs such as is AoE, and or you know, we could take in, for example, an enum for the type. For example, self-targeting for a heal, enemy targeting for a damage spell, AoE if it's got a no target, for example. We could pass in the range, so we can have stuff like that. We could have one generic function that's called, and then it takes in the input from the ability. So I think we're going to do that. Now that I'm saying that, I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to do check for valid target is what we're going to call this. I like that idea while I was saying it, so we're going to go with that. So let's do a new system. Let's do a new enumerator. And I'll, this will be a skill target type enum. No, we'll just go with target type enum. Yeah, we'll just go with target type enum. And we'll do 3 of these to start off with. We have a single target. Okay, enemy. We're going to go with enemy. Friendly. I'm actually going to put another one here now I thought about it. Self. And then we'll do none. Now, should it be none or should it be AoE? For example, if you were, you know, something classic in like World of Warcraft is Arcane Explosion for Mage. It's a non-targeting spell. It requires no target because it casts it around you. But is there a non-target spell? We're not going to do ground target or anything. We'll just leave it at none and we'll adjust it as needed. I don't even know if I'm doing it AoE. I was just trying to think ahead. But I think this will work. Our damaging spells could target enemies. Friendly spells could target friendly. Self spells could target self if it's like a self buff or something. And you have to have... I guess technically that would be a none, wouldn't it? A self would be a none because you're always going to be in range with yourself. So you're either going to have an enemy with a range, a friendly within a range, or no target. So we'll go with that. We'll go with enemy, friendly, and none. Okay. And this will be an input, and this will be target type enum. So we're going to pass in the type of enum, and then we'll do some code inside of here for that. And then we'll need a range for the target. So we'll do range to target. or range. Valid, what do we call it? Valid range is what we'll call it. And we're going with integers for stuff because I don't want to use floats. And in theory, that should be basically it. And then it's going to output a Boolean is what it's going to do. Because all we want to do with this is feed in some stuff. We're going to do our appropriate checks based on the target type. So for example, a line of sight check and things like that. Make sure it's within our front cone, which I still don't know how I'm going to do because it's math and it's going to be fun. Yeah, I think this will work. And then we'll return back if it's valid or not. So we can go back into our character or custom graph, and then we'll do check for valid target. We'll pass in the appropriate information. If it is a valid target, then we'll go ahead and use the skill or ability. In this case, it's an auto attack. So yeah, target enemy, valid range, and we'll do something in here like, I don't know, auto attack we'll do with 50 to start, see if that works. And then if it's a valid auto attack, then we're going to go ahead and apply damage to our target. We'll also have to do something like check and see if it's a valid target. So we'll do an interface like damageable, and then we'll apply damage to it based on our actual damage ability. Yeah, I think this is a good start. I think this will work. Let's see, we had chat. Let's say we have a session-based game like Overwatch. Does it mean that each game match will be running only on one dedicated instance? Okay, so iRio, with the way the dedicated servers work in Unreal Engine, the dedicated servers can have any number of connections and it can do whatever it wants, but the dedicated server is running one map per dedicated server. It's the way that the client-server model works for Unreal Engine. So for your question, if you want things running basically in a completely separate map, even though it's the same map, it's going to be a different map containing people. More than likely, you would have, in your example, 10 matches with 10 dedicated servers. More than likely, that's what you would have to do. And you could just spin up a dedicated server to connect to as needed. That's the way Unreal Engine is set up. It's just the way their client-server model works. There are other options like SmartFox, Photon, and a couple others that are more of a client-server model, where you'd have one server that could handle multiple requests to multiple maps type thing. But to answer your direct question, as far as I know, because I think it would be really hard to have one running map on the server, keeping track of multiple people in multiple places, you're going to end up needing one server per dedicated match per map, basically. Let's see, CB, nothing much is new. Let's see, Julian. Went to spend money on a piece of paper to get a software degree. I'm very interested in Unreal Engine 4. I'm currently learning the engine so I can start coding in C++. Unreal Engine's a good engine to learn if you want. You can learn C++ in Unreal Engine. However, I wouldn't directly start if you have a choice, simply because Unreal Engine uses a lot of things like macros to make it easier to use. So it's not exactly, quote unquote pure C++. So it makes it a little more difficult to learn directly. There is a decent Udemy course though for learning C++ in Unreal Engine, and I say it's decent because of the fact that for the first 3 lessons, I want to say, you don't actually touch the engine itself. You're using the console in Visual Studio to actually create your C++ projects to learn the actual C++, and then it moves over to the exact specifics that Unreal Engine uses for C++. All of them are good though. Unreal Engine is a good engine to use in general, and if you want to learn C++, you can do it. Let me check. Okay, we've been streaming for an hour, so we're good on time. This is going to return back a valid target. So we actually should probably code. You know what? For now, I'm going to go ahead and return back a true on this one. So we don't have to worry about coding this for now. We're gonna just skip that little session right there. We'll code in some damage. So do auto attack. So now we need to somehow figure out damage. We have 0 formula for damage. Kind of have a small problem. We don't have a weapon for the player. We haven't actually done an inventory or equipment. So that's going to be fun. So for now, because all that's going to be pulled off the mod strength. So actually the mod strength is what we're going to use. So now I have a small issue. How are we going to figure this out? How are we going to set this up? We have our player values. This is a structure that contains our basic values for the player, plus any modified ones that are part of the character itself. Modified values are actually just on the character itself as part of the character. We don't store them because they're modified as game plays. So for example, I start off with a base strength of 5. I have a sword that gives me +2 strength. My mod strength is going to be +7. So we need to calculate damage somehow. So we should probably do a function called calculate damage. I don't like that though. I don't like that. Let me look in chat. Let's see, Julian. Curious though, back to your dedicated server per one map. I'm going to assume you can override the network code and have a map cycle feature. That is correct. The dedicated server basically... The point of a dedicated server in Unreal Engine is it's basically a single map that's running at any given time. If I was to pull... This is the dedicated server we're running right now. It is running on it the world map. That is the map that's running on my server right now because that's what I told to start off with. If I was to connect to that server... and my client was on the login map, then I may still be running around on the server in the world map, but on my client, I'm running around on the login map, and there's a disconnect issue, and it will not work properly. There is a server travel command that basically says, hey, server, change your map and take everyone with you. That's what you would use in the case of a game with having multiple maps that will cycle through like a list. There is a server travel command to have that, and that one would work perfectly fine. Or you could technically, if you wanted to keep things persistent, you could have, like in the case of let's go something like EverQuest is a better one because each of the zones are dedicated servers. You basically could have 5 servers running, each one running a different area of your game, and then you would basically, when someone gets to the transport point or your zone line in EverQuest, you would hand off that player to a different dedicated server and then load them up into that other map on their side. For our game, since we're basically going to have a single world map that we're shoving everyone into, we don't have to worry about server travel or changing the map. We're going to keep just a persistent level loaded at all times for people to come in and out of. Darkcraft. How do you change the color of a material from in-game, like a customized feature? You would give the player the ability to... See, I'm going to delete this because I don't like this. Let me see if we can help Darkcraft for a second, and then we'll go back to that. I need to think about that. Maybe I have something in here already. But you, for Darkcraft, for that, what you would do is you would have a material with a parameter in it that would define your color for whatever you want to change. And then you would simply change that material parameter inside of your blueprint or whatever code. So for example, do I have any customization? I have so much stuff in here I forget. We have a customizable house, but that doesn't count. Let's see. Let's try cut player. How do we name it? Customize color on object. We'll call that customize color on object is what we'll do. Call it a new level. We're going to give ourselves an object to play with. We'll call this our blueprint. Customizable object. We'll make a new user interface because it's the easiest way to change stuff. Blueprint, customize that object. We'll go ahead and save our map. And we'll call this customizable color on object. Customize color map. And did I save that somewhere wrong? Oh no. Oh no, there it is. Okay. And I need to do that so I can have our widget blueprint pop up right here. That's what I was working on. Do this. And do I have my default stuff in here? I do not. Okay. Oh wait, or is it called setup? Nope, I did. Okay. Sometimes I have some macros that I have set up. And I don't in this one. Okay, so that was customize that object. So we'll display our widget and we'll add it to our viewport. And then we will get our player. Can I do get PC? Does that work? Oh, it doesn't. That would have been nice. Sometimes there's shortcuts that you don't know about. Let's see, set input UI. Okay, which song is this? Because I like this song. I know it's a Disney one. Oh, oh no, Bare Necessities by Disney. Hopefully the stupid Aladdin song triggered a copyright thing once. Let's see, set show mouse cursor. Okay, so that'll show our widget. Let's make sure our widget's working. I'm just gonna slap an image in here. We'll hit play. There we go. Okay, cool. So we know that's working. I'm gonna go ahead and grab our world settings. We are going to grab a third person and see if this is gonna let me override this with none. Okay, yep, that's gonna be a giant pain in the butt. So that's not gonna work. We'll go back to our third person. I lost my third person. I have too many persons in here. There we go. Oops, and of course I can't move that. Okay, so here's our customizable object. We'll go ahead. You know what? We don't need a customizable object. We have a player character that we can customize the color of. That'll be more fun. So let's see, customizable. So it's going to be him. So we're going to need to copy him here. We'll rename him to our customize color character. We'll make a new game mode so I can add our new character into our world. Customize character. Customize color game mode. Open up our game mode. Grab our defaults. Grab our default pawn. Customize character. Bloop. All right, close that. Tell this we want our customized color game mode. Let's see if it works. Customize color character. There we go. Cool. So we're good there. What else was it? We actually need to just set it. Now we just need to set up stuff. So that's gonna be super simple. So let's check out chat. Just see. We're working on that for Darkcraft. What kind of games do you like? I'm gonna assume you like World of Warcraft MOBAs. I like most games. I have played games for decades at this point. I'm near 40 years old. I've been playing games for 35 of those years probably. So I like most games out there, and I've tried most games, and it's at the worst, it's simply just to learn new things, systems, fun stuff like that. My primary game type that I like, though, is RPGs, role-playing games. BJ, do you know how to make a select your guns HUD system like GTA 5? I don't directly know how to do that. I know that there is one of those on the marketplace if you want to look at that. In our FPS section, I want to say in December, when we were upgrading our FPS prototype, we did make a basic gun selection system. It would just use the 1, 2, and 3 key. You could do the same type of thing. You would just have it display on your HUD itself. Yeah, that's about all I can say on that one. You could also go basically off of what we're going to try to do now. A lot of that is just graphical looks is all it is. You have your round HUD and it displays the items. UI stuff is really difficult if it's not basic, unfortunately. Well, I shouldn't say very difficult. It requires a lot of art, which is where I have an issue. Okay, so customize that object. So let's see. Well, we can't do an RGB thingy. Let's see. So it's the exact same. So Darkcraft. For changing the color. Okay, so I'm going to go with a more fun way of doing this, and then we will go from there. I've also realized there was one thing I forgot, which was what I was in the middle of. I actually need the material we're going to be working on, or else we're not going to be able to actually edit it. So let's find our body material and put it in here. And we'll copy it here, and then we're going to call it. We're going to call that one. Let's see. Customize color material. Go back to our character, tell it to use the new body material. I didn't call it custom color material, did I? Call it custom. I did call it custom color material. That was a stupid name. Customize color material. There we go. But basically now we have, whoops, let's save everything. We have this character that we're going to be using. Its mesh is going to be using that custom material right here. That's what counts. And this one has a parameter already set up called body color. Parameters are material nodes that allow us to change them externally. So we have one, once it finishes saving, I got to remember not to save in this one, called body color. Inside of here, inside of our character, if we were to, for example, we'll make a custom event. We're going to call this change body color. We're going to take in a new color. So let's see, input, this will be a linear color. I think it'll be a linear color, but we're going to find out the hard way if it's not. But should be a linear color. And then we're going to grab our mesh. And then we're going to set dynamic. No, wait, I need set parameter. I got to do it the hard way because I can't remember the other way of doing it. Here we go. Set parameter value on materials mesh. That's what I was trying to do. And we want the vector one. That was the node I was looking for. This may or may not work also because we have to figure stuff out. When we go back to our material, remember our name of our parameter is called body color. So this will be body color. And then the input is going to be whatever we want to set it to. We're going to split this. A vector is 3 values, an x, y, and a z, or in the terms of a color, RGB. It's super confusing. I wish it wasn't like that. If you're working in stupid HLSL, the stupid shader languages, it always confused me. But basically, you can think of it as your color is going to have your parameter in here. It's going to have 3 values, your R, G, and B. Technically, it has an A as well, but for our example, it doesn't have an A that we're going to be using. All we care about is an R, G, and a B. And our vector is going to take in an 1, 2, and 3, R, G, B, X, Y, Z. So we'll go ahead and split this one, and you'll notice, look, we get an RGB, and we have an RGB. So we can go like this. Like that. So now if we call this with a color, we're going to go ahead and set that new color on our mesh. So now we can go into our object here. I'm going to test this. What we're going to do to test it is we're going to get our player character, and we're going to cast it to our customized color. That way we know we're talking exactly to the one we want to talk to. And we're going to, what did we call it? I don't remember what we called it. Change body color. So we're going to call it change body color. And you notice it wants a color. We're just going to set it to red or pink or whatever that came out to. And we're going to see if this works. And there we go. We have a pink character. So that was super easy. That's all we need to do in order to change the color. We need a material with a parameter. And then we need to call on that mesh. We need to tell it to change its parameter. Now, if you have multiple materials, or you have multiple meshes, or you have multiple material IDs and stuff like that, there are other things you have to do. But at the basic level, you're going to tell something to change a parameter on its material. And you're going to tell it what parameter to change and what the new values are. And then on the material, you're going to have somewhere in there that parameter to change. Now that was just a test to make sure we had everything hooked up. Now in our actual designer, we are just going to, we're going to see how stupid we can make this, just because I like doing stupid things. Let's see if we can make this bigger. Let's see, where is our min and max? Isn't there a min and max on sliders? Oh, sliders only go 0 to 1. Never mind. That was me being a dum-dum. I'm pretty sure sliders only goes. I guess we'll find out if sliders go 0 to 1. I can't remember, to be honest. I'm trying to change the size of this thing. There we go. Want a bigger friggin' slider. Okay, all I wanted was a bigger slider. That was all I was trying to do. Thank you. Let's put this on the right side of the screen. And let's wrap this with a vertical box. And then we're going to duplicate this 3 times. We'll call this one red slider, green slider, red, green, and blue slider. And let's give it a little bit of padding. Up and down padding. So let's give it 15 and 15, like that. And we lost one of them. Oh, because it's not set to auto size. That's not what we wanted. Because these aren't set to certain sizes. You know, we'll just do that. Because why not? That'll work. There we go. There we go. We got sliders now. Cool. We'll go ahead and grab our value changes. So our red slider, whoops, did not mean to do that. We want on value changed for our red slider. And we're going to grab this code here and we'll paste it in here. This might not be the most efficient way of doing this, but is the most fun way of doing this for me. Let's nuke everything back to default. So this is our red slider, so we'll slap, you know, we don't need to do that. We're just gonna grab our red slider. We'll make this consistent is what we're gonna do. Slap this to red. I can't change this in here, right? No, okay, so green, blue, red slider, green slider, blue slider. And then red slider, green slider, blue slider. Okay, let's see what happened. The red slider should be hooked up in theory now. There we go, look. In theory, those aren't hooked up, so that's why they aren't doing anything, but they'll apply once I change the red slider. So all we'd have to do is grab our green slider and our blue slider like that, and we will grab our code here. Technically, we don't have to even duplicate that code, right? Can't we just, since we're grabbing the values right from the actual slider itself, we should just do that. Yeah, there we go. See? There we go. Now we got a customizable little doohickey mobobber. There we go, see? And all we're doing is our sliders are 0 to 1, and RGB is 0 to 1 in Unreal Engine. So, you know, 0 is going to be no value or black. And then we're going to get, you know, we have our green channel, we have our blue channel, and you can, you know, you can end up with something like that. So, to cover how we did that, let's wrap everything up on that one. And we'll cover the most important thing. So, the most important thing is in your material, you have parameters. Parameters can be, technically, if we find them in here, I always use the shortcut version, but if we find them, parameters can be any of these things. For the most part, you're going to have your scalar, your vector, and then I don't remember what the 2 is called. Oh, wait. Anyways, let's do it this way. 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's the easiest way to do shortcuts. We have whatever, whatever, whatever. But you can right-click on any of these and convert them to a parameter. Oops. convert to parameter and convert to parameter. There we go. So you can take any of your valid, 1, 2, 3, or 4 and convert them into a parameter. And then whatever you do with the output is whatever you do based on the name. So, this one could be, if we're playing Conan, for example, we'd have, like endowment size. And you could pass that into your material graph. So as long as you have a material parameter to change and you know the name, you call your set whatever parameter whatever on whatever. And I say whatever because if we do set value and we look, we have a scalar and a vector, and pretty sure there's more than that. Let's see. Set scalar, set vector, texture. There was the other one. I couldn't remember texture. And you have a set texture one as well. That's what I was trying to remember, and I couldn't remember. So you have the set scalar, which is going to be your individual value, and then you have a set texture, which allow you to set a texture because you have textures. Like, see how this is a texture? You can convert it to a parameter and pass in different textures if you want it. So that's the basics of it. I do have videos on these things. Basically, what you're looking for and what this is generally referred to as a material instance dynamic, or a dynamic material instance, or a dynamic material. You will notice I used none of those words when I was doing this. Technically, a dynamic material instance is what we should have created in order to do this. So, like, for example, this would be the node we would have used in the first place. On begin play, we would have created a dynamic material instance. This is where you would grab the material you want to use. So, for example, our customized one, and then which element index it would be. So the skin index of the skin to replace the material for. So, like, for example, remember I said sometimes you have multiple materials? This is where you could change which material you're changing out. And then we would cast this to a variable, and then we would do set parameter, and you set the parameter. Whoops, that's a texture. Set vector. We do something like this, but we'd actually set this into a variable, and it's a lot of work. However, for whatever reason, and I don't know when they did this, at some point, Epic allowed you to basically skip the dynamic material creation part and set directly on existing materials parameters. So this right here works the same as if we were to do begin play, and then we did this, and then we promoted to a variable, and then this would be, our, let's see, this would be our body, dynamic material, reference, and then later on, when someone changed the body color, we grabbed the body dynamic material instance, and we changed its body color, and we changed it, we did our whole RGB thing over here, like that. We'd have like R and G and B, and we plug that in, like that. That section right there and all of this stuff is basically the same as just simply calling the set vector parameter on materials node now. It's kind of cool. Something they changed recently, a couple versions back. But if you want more information, dynamic materials is basically what you're looking for. And as you saw, it's super simple to do it. Let's see. When does the new animation rigging will come into practice? I have no idea about the new animation rigging. I know that they have the cloth stuff that's supposed to come out in 4.16, but I haven't played with it yet. Hana, someone was basically asking, how do you change, what was the exact question? How do you change the color of a material from in the game like a customized feature? That was what the question was. And I was showing him how to basically create a dynamic material and change the color like that. That was what his question was. And that was in the middle of our setting up our auto attack system inside of our livestream MMO, which is what we'll jump back to here in a second. We got about half an hour or so, roughly. So let's figure out where'd my MMO go? Here's my MMO. Okay. So what we're working on for this one is setting up our auto attack. We check if there's a valid target. Right now we're just going to skip past that and say, yes, we have a valid target within range. And then if there is a valid target in range, we basically need to apply damage. And I was going to do something like a node for calculating damage. But I kind of... first of all this stuff should be run on the server. I just realized we're going to have to change that here shortly. I don't know how I want to do the calculate damage node. That's where we were kind of left off. We have an auto attack, and the auto attack is going to take some values, like the modified strength value, because that's going to affect the player's damage, or the modified strength. Auto attack is only going to be strength. So it'll take, like, for example, the modified strength value, and it'll take the player's weapon damage, and then it's going to do something to determine the auto attack. Skills are going to be a completely different system. In theory, that's kind of where my question comes in. Skills technically do the same thing. It's going to take a base value, it's going to take a modified value, it's going to put them together, and it's going to give you a new value for your damage. So I'm wondering if I want to kind of make just another generic function for calculating damage. And pass in, for example, you know what? I wonder if that would be cool. You know what? Let's try doing that. I just thought about something. Let's try making a new one. We're going to call it calculate damage. Damage. For the love of Pete, calculate the damage. And we are going to output a damage value. So this is going to be the damage value. This is how much damage is going to be calculated. So we're going to go with an output like that. So we can go to here, and then if it's true, we're going to go ahead and calculate the damage, and then it's going to output, and then we're going to apply the damage to something. The actual calculate damage, what I'm thinking is we haven't really set up a skill list, but there's no reason our auto attack can't be a skill. There's no reason auto attack can't be like skill 0, for example. And it can have, you know, a basic calculation formula. It can, the mod it'll use will be strength, for example. The base damage for auto attack could be 0, for example. And you could say, for example, you know, uses weapon strength or something like that. We could fit. Yeah, I think we'll do that. So we're right now, basically, you can see we're stubbing stuff out is all we're doing. For now, we're going to calculate a 5 damage output. Just for now. This is just a generic stub. We'll figure this out later. For now, we'll just return back some form of damage. Once we calculate the damage, so we have a valid target, we've got some valid damage, now we need to apply the damage to our target. So we need to make sure that our target is damageable. Should that be here? I'm thinking that should be here. So we're going to ignore the damage is damageable part for now, and we're going to put it in our valid target. That makes sense to me, right? A valid target should be something within whatever defined range is, within line of sight, and is actually damageable. So for example, if we target a chair, it's not damageable, therefore it's not a valid target. Okay, I think we'll do that. So we don't need to worry about is damageable. All we need to worry about now is dealing damage. So we're going to grab whatever we are attacking and we're going to deal damage to it. So let's make a new interface. So we're going to put that under systems, and we're going to make a new folder called interfaces. And we're going to call this interface, if I can figure out where it's hiding, blueprint, right? Yeah, blueprint interface, and we'll call this damageable. Damageable. I never know how to... Okay, now I've got to figure out how to spell damageable. I always forget how to do it. Damage, is it with an E or not? No. Damageable. Okay, so damageable does have an E. Okay. I always forget. Damageable. Okay, so we have an interface called damageable, and this is what we're going to put on whatever can be damaged, and we'll hold our generic take damage event. We have a few different ways of doing this. Now that I realize I'm literally saying this and thinking about it. We could just use our interface for damageable to determine if it's damageable. And we could use the, let's pull up our monster base. We could use the on damage event. So, where's the stupid rate? Any damage. We could use the damage event. So we could use our built-in damage events and our built-in damage types on the classes if we want to. Or we could use a custom damage event. Does anyone have any preference or any basically a preference? To summarize it a little bit more, we have the any damage. The any damage is an event on actors that respawns anytime we apply damage. So in this case, any damage is here, and inside my character, I would do something like apply damage to the monster. So it would call apply damage on the server, and then the monster would fire off its any damage event. The advantage of this is you have a couple things built in. So for example, it's going to know who causes the damage, and it's going to have a damage type class that can be passed. Damage type classes are nifty if you use them. So for example, we could have a damage type class called fire. We could have a damage type class called ice, melee, healing, for example. And the damage type class itself could have special functions inside of it to do things. So it could check for weaknesses, it could check for modifications, it can basically alter things based on the damage type automatically. Assuming you use it. I don't know if we'd use it or not, that's just something that's available. The other option is we just simply make a new event in here, called, custom event, and we call it take damage. And do the same thing. We pass in a damage amount, and we pass in who damaged it, so we can add it to our aggro list. And same thing. Two of one, one of another. I say screw it. Let's use the default damage class because it's built in, and maybe it's something we can learn to use effectively. So we're going to do that. So that's going to be our basic thing right here. Here's our base damage. We'll convert that over to a float. At this point in time, I'm thinking we are going to go ahead and output a float because it makes no sense to have a conversion here. So we're going to switch our return node to a float value. And then we don't need to worry about a conversion. And there we go. Okay. That's kind of like one technical negative about this. The damage class deals with floats rather than ints. Okay, but we have a basic stub here for auto attack. We don't have an actual target we're attacking. I kind of realize that's a small issue. We should probably figure that out somehow. We have nowhere we have that set up. I guess that's technically right here. So what we need to do is we need a new value inside of our character called selected or current. We'll call it current target is what we're going to call it. This is going to be of type actor, and this is going to be the actor's current target. And this will be set whenever we select something. It'll be the current target, and that's what we're going to feed into things like checking for a valid target and applying damage to. So we'll go ahead and just do this right here for now. And now we have an actual target we'll be able to apply damage to. We don't actually have this set up anywhere, but at least we have something we can do that with. Okay, I think we're good there. We kind of need to set up a targeting system now. I just kind of realized that. We have the tab targeting system, which wouldn't be too bad to use. We have click targeting. Let's see, how do we have our game set up right now? We have no mouse cursor set up, so I think we're going to go with click targeting. We're going to try to set up a basic targeting system before we end for the day and see if we can get our melee attack system in place. We've got roughly 25 minutes. I think we can do this. This shouldn't be too hard. We basically need to change our default input mode and go from there. So where did we ever set our input mode? Would kind of be a smart thing to figure out. I'm pretty sure we're setting our input mode inside of our login screen. So here's our login screen, and once we okay, this is our login screen, which doesn't help because it's our actual login helper that's handling all of our login logic. Yeah, and this sets our input mode to game only, back to game only, which is fine, not an issue. What we want to do is whenever our character starts up, so let's find our begin play right here. On the client side, so this is our client code. So you know what I'm going to do? Client code here. Let's actually put some little comments here and server code here. On the client side, we're going to go ahead and get the player controller, and we're going to set input for the love of Pete mode to game and UI. This will give us our traditional MMO type interface setup where you can move the character or you can move the mouse. And we'll go ahead and show the mouse cursor like this. And we'll see if this works. It did not. Why did that not work? I'm in my MMO character, right? Just kidding. This is because I am the server technically for testing purposes here. Oh, crud. You know what? Headless client, this really isn't going to matter on. Let's fire this off in our begin play event. So it fires it off no matter what. Let's try this. Oops. There we go. Okay. So I can look around, I can move, and I have a mouse for clicking on stuff. Okay, cool. Nothing's responding to clicking because I haven't set that up yet, but at least I have that set up. Now we need to do the one thing that I forget about almost all the time. Let's find our player controller. So that would be our character, and that would be, nope, not character, player. And our player controller, and we need to turn on the option for enable click events, because if we forget to do that, we can't actually click on anything. And that is super annoying when you forget to do that. Let's see. There is some potential cheating issues we might run into right now, but I'm going to ignore them for now. We're going to worry about them later if we run into it. What I mean by that is our server, our client is going to see our world, and our client's going to click on something, and it's going to know what it currently has targeted. We're not going to validate on the server side that it should be able to click on that. Technically, that leaves us open for the client to virtually click on anything to get its stats, for example, and then do things on it, such as attacking. But I think we'll be okay because everything on the server will actually validate the range. So I think we'll be okay here. Okay, so what we're going to need to do is when the player clicks on something, so how can we set up an event to automatically respond to the player? There's a couple things. We have our user interface. So here's our character's UI. And we do have the ability to actor mouse. Oh, what the heck is it called? Oh, it's not. I think it's inside the character is where we'd have to call it. I really need to start commenting these things. Let's see. Actor mouse. Oh, for the love of Pete, what is it called? Actor under. There is a node that will let you know what is underneath the mouse when you click on it. And of course, I don't use it enough to remember what it's called. Oh, it's not called mouse. It's cursor. It is, here we go, get hit results under cursor. That is what I was looking for. So you have this one right here, which basically will tell us what is under our cursor, and we could use it so it's, for example, only monsters or PCs or stuff like that. So we could use this, so we could detect the mouse down, and we could get the hit results under the cursor, and then we could set that inside of our player as a current target, or we can have the monster itself, so our monster, it could implement a clickable interface or something like that. We could have only things we care about responding to click actually have a let's see, it's going to be our capsule, our on clicked event, and have it return back whoever clicked it that's not going to work. That's just going to be an on clicked. This isn't going to tell us who clicked it, is it? Oh, well, that's not helpful. This doesn't tell us who clicked us. Well, that's rude, but I don't think we're going to be able to use that. Or I guess technically we could respond back. That's not going to work either. Okay, we're going to do it the other way. We're not going to care. We're not going to be able to respond to things that are clicked. We're going to have to just respond to the click itself. Okay, let's see. Wazer, I did answer the question. Let's see if it's in my playground still. I had no issues with it. I think I did it in one of the other projects in 4.15. I don't remember where I put it. Oh, crud. I did have no problems with it. I was able to successfully use socket attaching, and I did a little head socket thingy. Let me, oh crap. I literally don't remember where did I do it in the first person? Oh crud, I don't remember where I did it. I don't think I did it in third person. See, I did it in 4.15 just to make sure. But I think I don't think I accidentally. I think I deleted that project the other day. Okay, well, we'll just fire up a new one. But I had no problems with it. I simply used the attach to component node, targeting the component I wanted it to attach it to. Wazer, if you have any specific third person, here we go. If you have any specific use case, like what exactly you're trying to attach, maybe I can try to show you how I set it up. But I had no problem doing it. I think maybe you might be either referencing an older tutorial before they changed the attach to nodes, because they had changed them in 4.13 or 4.14. But like for example, if we go to our character here, let's grab our character itself. Let's grab his mannequin. What I did was I went to his skeleton. I went to the head, which is right there. So you can see where his head's at. I added a new socket. It's called the head socket. They didn't take the node off attaching. So let me show you this. So here's our head socket right here. And we'll go into here, and on begin play, I'm going to attach something to something. So we know what my mesh has a socket to attach to. So we have attached to component right here. And this is the node that you would use. It's going to attach to my mesh on the head socket whatever I want to attach to it. In this case, it would be whatever I want. Actually, this should be here and there, up like that. And then it's whatever I want. So in my case, for my example, I took a cube and I scaled it down a little bit because the default cube is huge. So here's my little cube, which you can see is in his crotch. And I told it to take that cube and attach it to the head socket. And if we ran this, you can see there's my cube attached to the head socket. So you want to touch a gun to a hand, for example. It could be the same thing. If I go back to my skeleton, let's find the hand left, we'll give it a socket. This is called the hand L socket. Right here. So we'll call this the gun socket. Make it easier on me. And we call it the gun socket. We'll copy that. We'll go back into our third person. We'll tell it to attach the cube to the gun socket, and we should have a cube on the gun socket right there. The attached to nodes were changed. That could be the issue if you're trying to follow another example. But the attached to components is the proper way to do it now, because pretty much anything with a transform is considered a component, and it needs somewhere to attach it. So your mesh itself is a component, skeletal mesh component, and it's going to have your socket. So that's right here, and then your whatever you want to attach to it. In my case, it's a cube. If I had a gun, then it'd be my gun mesh or whatever it is. Yep. So I mean that's what you're looking for right there for attaching. And then these ones gives you all the different rules regarding size and rotation and stuff like that, based on the original item and the parent item. But as you saw, this worked. If I had an actual gun, it would I could attach a gun there. So in this case, I could let's see, file, not file, new oh, come on, give me left. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Let's go with front. Where'd my guy go? Here we go. Here's my little dude. And then we'll go to our geometry editing, do the pen tool, extrude 10. This is going to be super. I have my snapping turned up too much. Here we go. We could do something like, let's see, space, 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 space. And then we're going to figure out where we put that right here. Yeah, 10 was way, way, way too thick. Edit. Let's see, I want, oh man, look at that. Look at that combined too. This thing. Whoops. This thing. Come on. Where's my Y? Can you redo? Oh, really? It nuked my gun. Oh. Well, I was trying to make a gun, but it nuked it. Let's see. Can't I get a reference to the socket name? I mean, socket name is a name. It's just simply a name variable. You type in whatever your socket name is. You can set them up over here. I don't know your exact question in regards to can I get a reference to the socket name. You create your sockets inside your skeletal editor. In this case, I called it, gun socket. Unless you have sockets built in also, because that is definitely possible. And actually, you can see that there are IK stuff already built in for gun positionings too. But yeah, I have a gun socket and I have a mesh I attached to the gun socket. If it looks like a gun, I'd actually have a gun attached there. But you saw that I just failed making my gun, which kind of sucked. But you can attach whatever you want. Do we still have problems with this, or have a little bit of an issue still, or does it seem like this was kind of what you were missing? You've got it now. And I mean, and it is attached. So I mean, if I was to go play, you can see that cube is attached to my hand, like we're expecting it to be. It's in that socket position. It's where it's supposed to be. Just a really crappy looking gun. Oh, you know what? Where's my first person? Aha. There we go. That might work. Skeletal mesh gun. Let's see. Let's go back to our third person character. Here's our cube. Compile. Skeletal mesh. I have the gun right here. So here you can see the gun. Let's rotate it 90 degrees. So the gun's in his crotch. We'll go ahead and tell it to attach the gun to the mesh. And you can see he now has the gun. Obviously, it's got issues with rotation. Let's see. I think... There we go. So it's rotated there. Obviously, I don't have things set up properly because, again, I don't have anything set up properly. But if we wanted it set up properly, you know, we could go with, you know, put the bones in the right spot and, you know, there's a gun in his hand. Obviously, you want to do it properly, but at least we got a gun in there now. Yeah. In this case, we have our... let's see. Yeah, we have our gun grip. Our hand grip is horrible for this spot. Where do we have... Okay, you know what? Just because I feel like it. Where is our gun socket? This is a crappy place to have a gun socket. Let's see if that looks a little bit better. There we go. That looks a little bit better, right? Could be worse. But at least it's relatively better. But yeah, okay, so there we go. There's our sockets. So we'll go ahead and save that. We'll go back to what we were working on, which I forgot, which is good. I'm more than happy to have the little breaks. I found that without the breaks, I was having issues. Oh, shoot. I need to check something too. Hold on a second. Oh, seriously? Dang it. Oh, man. I was trying to get something on eBay and I totally forgot, and someone outbid me by $1, and, well, that just sucks. Oh, well, I guess that's the way the day's going. Let's go back to making damage. So our character... Where's our character? We lost our stuff for our character. Our character is going to make sure we have valid damage we can do, and it's going to do this. So this code right here, our auto attack, needs to run on our server. This runs on our client. It checks to see if we are currently attacking. It makes sure it's valid. It calls do auto attack. Do auto attack needs to run on our server. So we're going to run this on server only. It's going to check and see if we should still be auto attacking. So we have a small issue here. This variable is going to be set on the client and not on the server. So we actually need to do some other things. So let's do a custom event, and see toggle auto attack on server. This needs to be a server call, like this. That's what we want to do. And here's toggle auto attack, and then this one is toggle auto attack on server. There we go. So this one, when the player hits it on the client, we'll call toggle auto attack on the server. The server version of our character is going to now check and see if this variable's set, and if it's not, it's going to flip it. And this is good because that means it's only going to flip on the server itself. Then the server is going to check and see if it has a valid attack timer. It's going to call do auto attack. Now we know this is running on the server. This version's been updated on the server. So we're going to do the check for valid attack target on the server. So that way the client can't hack that. Calculate damage on the server. Apply damage on the server. The whole point of all of that crap is because this node right here, this little icon, means it only runs on the server. So we had to make sure this was running on the server. That'll apply damage to our character, our monster. Our monster on the server, because we're running on the server, is going to take damage and it's going to do something. Anyone notice a small issue with our monster? Our monster kind of has no stat for health. We probably want to put that in here. We have armor damage and a loot table. That is awesome. Someone forgot to add in health. How much health it has. LOL. And that also leads into an issue because we have no max health. So we actually need to change this. We have current health, and then we have, whoops, I deleted too many things, and we have max health. Because if the monster leaves, we want it to refill its health. How much health it has max. There we go. So those are two values I need to put in here for our monsters. So we have current health, and then we have max health, like that. We'll set these up for integers. Because we actually need numbers to modify. If we don't have numbers to modify, we're kind of boned. We're going to set this up at a default of 25 for both. We're going to do this because I don't actually have these monsters spawning in properly yet, right? Do I? Did I ever set these monsters to spawn in properly? Does anyone remember what I did 2 weeks ago? Because I don't. We do. Okay. Yeah. I'm not going to say who's an idiot here, but whoever designed this monster structure right here, why is there no health? Why was this designed without a health value? That was smart. And if we make a caster mob, we're going to need max mana at some point. So let's put max mana in here as well. That was smart, whoever designed this. Okay. So now we actually have health and mana inside of our monster structure, which means our monster data table has values in here for health and mana. So now we can give our wolf 25 health and 0 mana. We'll go ahead and save the monster data table, go back to our monster spawner. Our monster spawner now can take in health and mana, except that we don't actually have it exposed yet. So we go back in here and we expose these on spawn. And now our monster can be set up with proper health and mana, if I actually hook these up properly. So there we go. So now our monster will spawn in with health and mana. So now when it spawns in, we need to set up, we set that up for max health and max mana. Yeah, cool. Did I just current health and max health? Well, that was paying attention. Wow. No one called me on doing that, on making that mistake. I plugged in the max mana into the current health. I'm also getting a compile error, which is, oh, because we don't have, yeah, we don't want that. Yeah, we want that. There we go. There we go. Now if we go back to our monster spawner, now we can plug mana into mana and health into health. There we go. Okay, cool. Now when we spawn the monster, it'll have its proper values. So we're good there. So we'll do something really simple here. Print string. And it's going to be current health. This will be our debug right here. And then we are going to grab the current health and get this. And we're going to subtract another integer. And that'll be our damage right here. Because we have to. And then we'll set our current health. We're not going to do any sort of check for death right now because I don't feel like it. Stop it. There we go. And then I'll set our current health. We'll bring him back over here. And there we go. So now it should take damage. And it should take 10 damage, I think is what I set to. It should set the current health on the instance of this monster. So locally on the server. And then we should be good. And the nice thing is at this point in time, I can figure out who caused the damage. So my character right here, damage causer, we can do self. So we'll get a reference to self. And we're going to say, hey, the causer, so the person who caused this damage is going to be this actor. And then the monster can now say who caused me damage and can grab our aggro table and it will add unique whoever caused damage. So now our aggro table, in theory, actually has a value. That's also, oh, I hate, why is that not lining up straight? because it doesn't like me. So now if it takes damage, it should add to the aggro table whoever caused the damage, subtract the health, and go. So now in the future, our nice little thing right here, remember how we are getting all actors of class and we're testing handing out loot? Now we can actually just hand out loot. And we could actually do our aggro table right here. This is just a temporary right now. We'll get just the first one and plug it in. So now instead of grabbing all of our actors, we are just going to grab whoever is on our aggro table first. This is still temporary. We're not done yet. Still temporary. But now we have an actual aggro table in theory that works. We don't have anything removed from the aggro table yet, which is super simple. Once they run away, we'll call another event. But now we have some damage maybe working, which I like. So let's go back. Let's see if everything's hooked up and maybe see if this works. We turn on auto attack. It should check for valid target. Whatever our current target is, it's going to apply damage to. And then we never actually call our timer again. That's what this code was for right here. There we go. Now we can hook our code up here. And this is saying, hey, we've gone ahead and already attacked. Let's go ahead and attack again after a certain amount of time. And that means our auto attack should call itself again. Cool. I think I'm happy there. Let me turn my damage down a little. Oh, I didn't actually fill out any damage because it went back to a float. So let's put some damage in there. So we're good there. I think this will work right now because we don't actually... we need a valid target. Where'd my graph go? We don't actually ever have a current target set up. We're never actually doing that. I got to the point where I was going to do the mouse click and I forgot to actually implement it. Let's see. So mouse clicking. So I guess on left mouse button, we'll just see what's below. Try that. So let's do a new event down here and we'll just, we'll hard code it to the left mouse button for now and then we'll go from there. So when they click the left mouse button, we're going to get cursor. We're going to get the hit results under cursor by channel. We're just going to go by channel and we're going to grab everything that's visible to us. It's going to be for the client. The client is going to check and see what is visible to itself. And then it's going to return back the hit result. So we'll break the hit result. And this will tell us who we hit, if anything. We'll be smart about this and only return something if we hit something. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my interfaces because I love interfaces. I think these are the coolest things ever. And we're going to make an interface called targetable. I think there's supposed to be 2 T's in there. Let's just put 2 T's. And we're going to empty it out because I don't like stray functions. And all we're going to do is if something is targetable, it's going to implement the targetable interface. So our monster is damageable and our monster is targetable. We go back into our character and we'll see if what we hit implements the targetable interface. So we're going to say, yo, I clicked on something. See what's under there. If whatever I clicked on is targetable, we are going to target it. Whether this works, I don't know. We're going to find out here in a second. So we just set current target to the item that's targetable that we targeted. And if the item we clicked on doesn't implement the interface, then we are going to set our current target to nothing. Okay, let's build out our server and see what happens. I'm going to kill our existing dedicated server. It shut down. I'm going to kill the node server just because I feel like killing the node server. And I'm going to kill the Mongo database server because I feel like killing it as well. So we killed everything. We'll go ahead and save everything. We'll switch back to our login map. We'll go ahead and find our project launcher and we will build out our dedicated server. And then we'll watch everyone else in chat. Someone was mentioning something about a card game. Let's see. Any idea how you can do a card game like Hearthstone? I know that someone is working on that. If you check the projects forums, modifying the inventory system, yeah, nothing wrong with that. That's a decent idea to start with. Array of cards, spawn them. Dragging of the cards from the deck and instantiate on the table as meshes and objects is the tricky part. I have created a series of videos for drag and drop, how to drag and drop, and I want to say the second part of that. Well, why do I want to say that when I can look? Okay, didn't I type? No, I guess not. Okay, so we have multiple drag and drops. Let's see. Dropping into the level. So here we go. So I have 4 of these in here. The first one is the basics, then using the class, using a payload, and then dropping into the level. So video 4, once our ad finishes. Apparently I'm live right now. That's kind of cool. Here we go. So video 4 covers, let me get this running for the example. Oh, here we go. And no one can hear anything, which is good. So for example, you can see I can drag and I can drop here and it goes onto my drop target. So that was what our basic example was. And then what I expanded this into was this. Dragging and then dropping into the world drops the item into the world. And it spawns it at a preset position, but you are basically dragging and dropping the items, as you can see, from the user interface into the world. And that's the video 4 for dropping into the level. And I still have to scroll down. I'm still up like 5 minutes. So that is a way where you can see an example of dragging and instantiating them as meshes into the world itself. Let's see. Cards UMG, then you drag your card to the board and states in mesh. Yep, that's the example that I have there. Inventory slots, complicated. It's not that complicated. Drag and drop is not that bad of a system once you learn how it works. Particles, tracing my channel is not that hard. How helpful is the community? I have a really cool idea for my game that I think is a bit of flavor of genius. A flavor of various games, but has never been done before. The community itself is pretty helpful as long as you try to avoid the Discord general chat. The forums are nice. The Reddit seems to be fairly nice. Discord is nice if you don't stay in lounge or general or lounge, whatever they call it. It's a place where people go just to goof off, so it's kind of non-productive, but there are individual channels in Discord like blueprints, multiplayer, graphics, AI that are usually very helpful. Yeah, so the community itself is usually pretty helpful. Traces by channel, are they cheap in performance? Traces are cheap. You should almost never worry about using traces, and I say that plural, because they are intended to be used. But the majority of games, especially with basic physics, not real physics, but faking physics, is done with traces. How about the system to get a base card, then do a struct, maybe for all the info for the cards? You can look into data tables, is probably what you want to look into for a card data set. Looking at our example here, we are using, where did I put up? Data tables for our monsters, for example. So all of our monster information is defined in here. I have an ID, a name, any stats on it, what loot table it has, a class that's defined for spawning the monster in the world, health and mana. This information can be pulled in from an Excel spreadsheet, for example. And then all this information can be put into anything you want. I just basically grab my data table, grab the appropriate monster, and then I have all the information available for spawning or whatever. Data tables are designed for that, holding data. And like I mentioned, you could actually do all that inside of Excel, bring it in as a spreadsheet, and turn it right into a data table. And then you could also edit it later and have it re-import automatically, which is really nice. Okay, so our stuff is done. Let's go ahead and start our database back up. Let's start our dedicated server back up. I literally have no idea if what we did is going to work. We are going to find out. That is what's fun about this stuff. I'm hoping it works so we don't have to actually touch the server for anything. I've been having fun not touching the server today. Okay, we're going to play. We have a character logging in to our server. We're good. We have our basic interface here. I can click on stuff. I probably should have made it where I could tell what I clicked on. This is not helpful at all. Oh, crud. Okay. I hit E for auto attack. I literally don't know what's happening right now. Crap. This is not helpful without having any sort of actual user interface running. And all this is running on the server is the problem. Because all this data is running... Oh, this is running on the client, though. So let's actually check our left click. Okay, here we go. Let's see if this gets to here. Okay, so we did get to here. We did get a hit. None. We're not actually getting anything, apparently, with our hit result. Even though we should... oh, here we go. I hit the floor that time. Oh, no. Do I not have these monsters set up as... Do they not have any collision? Oh, man. I don't think our monsters have any collision. That's not very helpful, is it? Actually, you know what? I never even tested that. Let's... Actually, I'm probably going to crash the server. Yeah, we've learned that we crash the server. We do that, so that's helpful. I was going to check and see if we had actually collision set up for the characters, for the monsters. I just realized we may not. Where is our monsters? So adversaries. Oh, wait, no, we created them under wolf. Here we go. So here's our wolf base. And let's see. Where is our wolf itself? I want the mesh. Can I have the mesh? Where are we hiding the mesh for our wolf at? Right here. Here we go. It's a skeletal. Oh, yeah, it's a skeletal mesh. Duh, that's why that keeps coming up. Collision. Oh. Oh, no. Oh, double no. Okay, so let's check out our monster. Here's our monster base. I just realized that our collision is probably going to be... yeah, see, we're ignoring visibility is our issue right here. For our collision check. See how we're ignoring visibility? That's not going to work. Okay, so let's set this to custom, and let's see if this will work. The problem is this is not going to be on the server. Oh, man, that figures. Yeah, I bet you that's our problem. And overlap is not going to work either before I go ahead and do this, because we actually want to block for our collision check. I was about to rebuild the server and have it fail miserably. Okay, so our base character should have a proper collision now. That's what I was hoping for. Let me double check this. Here's our wolf. And our capsule component is set to custom with block. Okay, so I think we're going to get back what we want. That's what I'm hoping for. So let's go ahead and shut down the server again. Server's down. Let's go ahead and rebuild. We'll check out chat. Let's see. You're telling me I can use trace by channel in event tick without problem. You could use probably 100 traces in an event tick without a problem. Traces are designed to be lightweight and used. An example would be a player who wants to do proper inverse kinematics for their feet. So, for example, they want to make sure their feet are on a plane if they're on stairs, or let's say it's like a mountain, and they want to make sure their feet aren't clipping to the mountain, but the ankle bone is properly on the mountain. It's not uncommon to do multiple line traces from individual parts of the body in any direction, you want to check against a collision. So you might have the crotch might fire down one, the individual feet or knees might fire forward or out, looking for surfaces so it'll line it properly every tick. Line traces are very lightweight and are intended to be used without much of a worry. So don't even worry about line traces. You can get a value from the data table and blueprint. So in regards to that question, that is what we are doing. Our monsters. So our monster spawner, which is right here, this is our data table. We are grabbing our monster from the data table that we want to spawn, grabbing all the data from the data table. So in this case, you can see I'm getting all the stats from that monster from the data table, and then spawning in a monster and giving it that information. And this is all inside of blueprints, obviously. We're grabbing the information from a data table. How well does the database hook into Unreal Engine? There is a plugin for an SQL. There's an SQL plugin for Unreal Engine to allow direct database access in just pure blueprints. So you could do that directly. It's also C++, so technically you could implement any plugin or any sort of network transportation if you wanted to, or even direct database communication. Alternatively, there are other ways. We are using a socket IO plugin for this example to basically connect over the network to the node server, which is connected to our Mongo database for storing into all of our data. And that's just a completely other way. Unreal Engine can basically do whatever you want if you do it in code. If not, there are other ways of doing it with just straight plugins and blueprints. Did I finish building this out? I did, right? I just totally forgot. Okay, so here's our server. Let's see what happens now. Let's run this again from our login screen. Log in. We're inside of our map. We want our character. We still sit there, so we're good. We're going to click. Let's see what it shows us hitting. There we go. We hit the wolf. Now we have actual collision on our wolf. And it should implement targetable now, which is what our goal was. So we'll close this. We'll resume. I turned on auto attack. Unfortunately, I have no way of... actually, I can check the monster, right? Do I have that variable set as public? I don't think I do. Of course not. Of course I don't have it set as public. Oh, wait. Yeah, I do. I don't have current health set as public, so that doesn't help. Oh, poopy. So I could do that. Okay, so what is it? I'm trying to find out I'm trying to figure out the easiest way for me to debug this stuff. Right now, we do have a proper successful target we can click on, so we're good there. Where did my auto attack? Where'd my hotkey go for auto attack? Oh, right here. I never actually made sure this was working, so that would have been smart. This is gonna kill the server here. Yeah, the dedicated server has a bug. We're gonna have to figure that out here at some point. But I'm gonna do it off screen so we don't have to worry about it. Okay, so that is run properly. The biggest problem with that is we can't actually check what the server is doing right now because I'm sending this to the server. This should be running on the server. Auto attack should be turned on. There should be no timer, so it should do the auto attack. This should execute on the server only. Auto attack should be on. We should be checking for a valid target. We're going to automatically say, yes, we have a valid target for our debugging. We're going to calculate damage. We're going to automatically just give it back 5 points of damage. And then we're going to apply damage to our monster right here. And then set the timer to call auto attack again. Apply damage on our monster, which is our current target. So that's right here. Should do this, and it should be printing out a string. The problem is because this is running on the server, this is never going to debug out properly, which is going to be a giant pain in our butt. So this is applied on. So let's see about. Okay, we're going to have to replicate a couple of these variables. Let's see if we can do some debugging here. Now, this stuff we don't care about being replicated. This stuff we do care about being replicated. Okay. Ooh, actually, I know a way we can debug this. I actually know a way we can debug this, which is actually probably something we want to do. If the current health changes, we want this to be a rep notify is what we want. And that means all of the clients who have access to this are going to know about this value. Can I have my function open? Thank you. So this one should actually fire off on the, for the love of Pete, this should fire off on the server, and we should be able to get the current health and print it out. I think this will work for our test purposes. Yeah, okay. Because we were going to have to do that anyways. Let's see. So using Node.js. Yes, I am using Node.js for my connection between Unreal Engine and my Mongo server. Mainly because I've technically used Node.js in the past, and I should remember how to use it, but I don't. It's also something I want to learn, so that's why I'm doing it. What's your opinion on Unity versus UE4? They both make video games. Honestly, that's my opinion on Unity versus UE4. They both have advantages and disadvantages. I personally prefer to program in Blueprints right now. I like the visual scripting language. It's a lot more fun to program in than C# or C++. So I'm using Unreal because it's more fun for me. Prior to that, I used Unity for years and made games and stuff like that. So I had no problem with Unity. Pick whatever you want. C++, C#, Blueprints, mobile games probably run better on Unity, stuff like that. Do you have videos for building the server? I do not yet, simply because I've technically not finished building the server. A lot of this crap is trial and error and experiment, and I'm failing miserably at it a lot of the time. Once we get to the point where our server is stable and I have the process working properly, then we're going to do a video, a live stream on actually configuring the server, how the server's set up, how to make the dedicated server in Unreal Engine, all the really boring stuff. That is a definite plan. It's still off by a little bit because we literally got to the point right now where at least the server is kind of working properly. And as you can see, it's still not perfect because it's crashing whenever we try to log in twice, which is super stupid. I don't know why that happens. Okay, so I turned on auto attack, but nothing's happening. Crud. My rep notify event should be working properly. Yeah, okay, so I'm obviously not doing something right here. Okay, let's see if we can figure this out. We are near our 2-hour mark. Oh, son of a gun. I'm off by half an hour at this point. No wonder. I'm going to spend a couple more minutes trying to see if we can debug this. If we can't debug this, then I'm going to end for the day because we know, of course, we'll be back on Friday. But for now, we're going to just spend a couple more minutes to see if we can visually debug this. So what I'm going to do is when we toggle the attack on and off on the client, I'm going to go ahead and print a string on the client so that way we know that we handled it. Just for debugging purposes, we're going to try to figure this out. I'm going to turn auto attack into a replicated variable. So whenever this changes on the server, it should change on the client as well. So I should be able to, in theory, check that at any point in time, which is what I'm going to do. Yeah, okay. Now, let's see, let's shut down the server, get it to crash. Now this should be running on our server. This should be working. This should now replicate to the client. We don't know where this is, it's not crashing. We don't know where this is failing yet. This is my issue. We do know that the current target was working. Oh, do we never set current target on the server? Oh, son of a gun. I wonder if that's what it is. Look at this. So this is run on the client. In order for a variable to change that's replicated, in this case our current target, or in this case even if we don't care about it being replicated, but basically in order for a variable to be changed on the server has to change the variable. The client can't tell the server that the variable's changed. Well, sorry, the client can't change the variable and then have the server take the new variable. The server has to change it. We're running this on the client. We're saying, yo, what are you clicking on? And then we're changing the variable on the client side. This is our problem right here. So when the server runs the execute for the auto attack, well, sorry, let me rephrase this. I think this is the problem. I have a feeling it's failing right here because we don't have a valid target. Yeah. So what we're going to do is we need to take this valid information right here, this current target, and we need to give this to the server. So we're going to do a custom event. We're going to call this set current target on server. And this is actually not even going to work either. That this is me being a dum-dum as well. Crap. How does this work? How do we get this to work? The this command right here runs on the client, getting the player controller and getting the hit result. The server has its own versions of everything in the game, just like the client has its own versions of everything in the game. So this target that I'm trying to set right here might be Monster Wolf 1. However, on the server, that might be Monster Wolf 17. It's actually a completely different object. So I can't say set yourself. I can send the actor I hit, but the actor I hit is going to be different on the server and the client, as far as I'm aware of in terms of this. I don't think this is going to work for what I want, but that's what we're going to find out. Yeah, is it the same? Because before, when I've tried to do some things, I had mismatches. But we'll find out. This is an assumption that hopefully I am incorrect about. Middle is saying that it will be the same, so that's what we're hoping. Let's see, set current target on server. And then, so we get rid of this. And this will be the hit actor. And then we set current target. So set current target on server. And we set nothing in this case. And the set current target on server simply sets the current target, but it sets it on the server, which is kind of the point here. Okay, let's see if that works. Let's see if we get anything working on that one. So let's go ahead and build this out. Obviously, as you can see here, I'm definitely still confused half the time on how server replication works properly. We have spent a lot of time trying to get it figured out, but it's one of those things where it's breaking my mind in terms of mind bending. Let's see. Do I know how to code? I do know how to code. I've got experience with C#. I've been coding since QBasic, basically. So 30 years at this point plus. The current stuff that I work on is C#. I know basics in C++ and JavaScript and stuff like that, but C# is my preferred normal coding language, I guess you would call it, simply because it's super easy to use. That's what I do all my business development in. In terms of what I do for a living, I do nothing. The wife works. She lets me do whatever I want. Technically, I help out 2 hours a day at a local business because they have no one else to do it. But I do stuff like this, pretty much, is what I do for quote-unquote living. I make videos, I program, I learn, I try to teach, stuff like that. Pointers are horrible, evil things that should never exist in the world. They have their uses, but I hate pointers. It's one of the reasons I don't like using C++, as pointers. I will admit to that. I freaking hate pointers. Okay, so why did this not debug out to my client? Dude, I want to shoot this thing right now. But there we go. Oh my god, look, it's got numbers. Can you guys see numbers in the top? Look, there's numbers. And look at this. This is our dedicated server. This is our dedicated server getting the result for this wolf and updating its health. If we were to do this properly, let's see. If I were to hit E, attack should be off now. Let's click on a different wolf and we'll hit E, and you'll notice it now has life. And if we go back here, there we go. We clicked on a different wolf. So thank you, Middle. I appreciate the information about the RPC in the event. That was what my plan was. I just didn't think it was the same on server to client. I'm glad that you are confirming that it was. That's awesome. We implemented a basic auto attack, as you saw right there. And I mean, if we want to get nifty here, yeah, this was just our on-rep. Now, the reason I realized we need to do an on-rep, rep notify for the current health is we don't have any way right now. For example, if we were to look at our monsters, we have no way of identifying their health. So we have no UI set up and stuff like that. We need to use a rep notify so that way when the server updates the health of the monster, the client version updates its health, but we get this message right here, and then we can update the local UI to show the new health. That's what I think we're going to start working on Friday. For now, though, I just want to put in a really basic kill event is what we're going to do. So it takes damage, sets it with the notify. We're just going to check and see if the current health is less than or equal to 0. I always like to end with stuff working properly, if possible. And if it is, we're going to go and destroy ourselves. And this should be called on the server, because only the server has access to this. So this should destroy the server version and event destroyed. Do we have still set up? We still have this set up. It should notify ourselves to test handing out loot, and it should do it for the aggro table. We should be assigned on the aggro table. So if this is working, our basic system should be fine. So let's go ahead and kill the server, build out the server, look at people. No, Middle, I feel free to throw in information. I want people to participate and help. I've mentioned, well, technically I didn't mention it today because I'm getting a little more confident, but I've mentioned in the past that we are learning all of this stuff. I have very little confidence in my networking abilities with Unreal Engine because replication just makes my head belt. Okay, cool. Done. Login screen. Start the dedicated server up. I will say creating bash files helped so much. I don't have to type stuff in anymore. Play. Log in. We are in here. We're going to go ahead and turn on auto attack. Nothing's happening. That's exactly how it should be. We don't have any target. Turn off auto attack. Target the right monster. Turn on auto attack. It's going to take damage. If we're lucky, it will get destroyed. It'll respawn automatically. There we go. And we have 140 coins. We're going to target the middle one and kill it. You notice I have a bug here, but we have 140 coins. That was the last thing we had. Destroys the middle one, 150 coins. So we have auto attack working. We have respawning working properly. We have the monster being destroyed. We have some loot working. We have the database properly updating our loot when it gets it. And we have our server, of course, crashing because I still have a bug in there somewhere. Let's see. Build your target stuff in a component. Then you can reuse in the monster, so you can just add the component to other actors. What target stuff are you thinking about, Middle? And I will admit right now, I should be putting a lot more stuff in actor components, and I just don't have a ton of experience with it. So I will definitely say that actor components is probably something I should be using a lot more, and I just am not. But we're good. We got some good basic stuff there. I'm going to fix one small little bug just because I noticed we had an issue there. When the monster died, auto attack was still... Oh, no. Technically... Okay, so I know that in traditional games, let's say EverQuest, when you turn on auto attack, you can have no target. And auto attack will be on, the music will start playing, it'll say you have no target. If you selected a target and started fighting, you're now in combat. Once the monster dies and you have no more monsters in combat, actually not even that, it's just once your current target dies, auto attack shuts off automatically. And that was one of the quote-unquote bugs I noticed. Basically, our auto attack didn't shut off when we had no target that we were attacking. So what I'm wondering is... Yeah, you know what? This should be super simple. Tell me if this is not a good way to do it. We have who attacked us running on the server. So there's no reason we can't, for example, if the monster dies, we can grab whoever did us. Oh, I should probably implement this event, would be helpful. I also need to, I need to spend a day reorganizing some of this stuff. Oh, wait. Do I just call toggle auto attack? Is that what I want? Can I just call that? Toggle auto attack on server? Or do we just, what if he shut it off and the monster died? We don't want to do it. So we want to call it, what do we want to call this? We want to call this, because all we're doing is setting it to false. Yeah, we'll just make a new custom event. Where did I put that at? Disable auto, oh no, toggle auto attack to off. I know, it's really silly. Run this on the server only, and all we'll do is set auto attack to false. There we go. Now we have an event that can be called. So when our monster base dies, it'll grab whoever was attacking it. In theory, this should be, actually in theory, this should be everyone on the aggro table. Is what this should be. Can I have my aggro table? Thank you. And then we'll for each through everybody on the aggro table. And, oops, this one should be down here under completed, so we'll do that. And then we will toggle, no, what do we call it? Oh, wait, see, these are actors, so, because technically we could have pets that weren't actors. So what we want to do is probably, the smarter way to do this would be an interface, so we could do it in a generic fashion. So I'm going to do it like this because I just want to end this right now. DPI can attack. We'll just have an interface called can attack, and we'll make a new function called toggle auto attack to off. I would just call it toggle attack to off. Now we should call it toggle auto attack because technically that's what we're doing. So we'll toggle auto attack to off, close that, go back to our character. We have to delete that. Can you do blueprint interfaces on run on server? Ooh, I don't know. Guess we'll find out. Can attack. Toggle auto attack to off. Right here. Poopy. I mean, technically this is going to run on the server because it has to run on the server because the server is the one that's calling it. I didn't think about that. I hate when I don't think about stuff. There's no, yeah, shoot. I literally have no idea if this is going to work or not. Let's see. if you built all your target logic in the character, you'll need to build it in the AI too. If it's built inside a component, you just add a component for the AI or anything. Gotcha. That makes sense, Middle. That may be something we'll look into. That makes a lot of sense. Because you are correct. Our AI itself, all of this code for the AI probably could be easily reused. All the code we did in the character could probably be easily reused. Okay, I have no idea if this is going to work. We're going to test it. Basically, when our monster dies, it's going to grab everybody on the aggro table, use the blueprint interface to toggle the auto attack off. Once it's done, it's going to destroy itself. In theory, this should work properly because it's being forced to run on the server because of the any damage event. So this function should be running on the server only, on the server version of this, turning off auto attack, and then like it's working. So this should work. I don't know though, because this is a run on server event that technically I can't force to run on server. That I just realized that can't I just do whoops. I should do the custom event. I just realized I could, I'll go. I could be doing this. I always realize the answer to stuff halfway through talking. But this is a curious question. If anyone knows the answer to this. If I did, I'm actually going to test this. But if something is set up not as execute on server, not as run on server, but it's still run on the server itself, does it still work the same? Is it technically the same command? I know when you tell it execute on server, this basically forces this to run on server. I think the interface will work, and Middle seems to agree, so we're going to test that. But at least we know if not, we do have an alternative. So let's go ahead and do one last build of the server. Yeah, that's my thought as well, Middle. Since it is coming from the server, the interface should work. I'm assuming that an RPC, so a replicated server, a replicated call with force on server, run on server, basically just means it's going to run it on the server if it's already not type thing. This is one of those, learning things. Whoops, I apparently lost the rest of my log. Okay, well, for this to build, we're done. We're done building. We'll start our dedicated server back up. Fingers crossed, we're good to go. If we can remember to log in properly. Okay, we're in the game. We should have 150 coins. We're good. We're going to target our right wolf and turn on auto attack. Cool. We're attacking. Life's going down. We know our auto attack time is working. It dies. We're good. It should respawn. We can check our stats. We have under 60 coins. Now, if I target something, auto attack should be off. I don't see any messages. If I hit E, auto attack's back on. Perfect. It worked. So the auto attack should now disable itself if the monster dies while we're attacking it. Now, we never technically checked to see if auto attack was working properly, so we're going to test that now. We're going to turn on a monster, turn on auto attack. Target a different monster. Look. Different monster, different life. Target another monster. Different monster, different life. Target nothing. Auto attack should still be on, but nothing's happening. Target a monster. Auto attack should kick in. There we go. Auto attack's off because the monster died. Target the monster. I got a different monster targeted, target a different monster. I'm cycling through the monsters right now. You technically can't see it, but you can kind of see their life. But when the monster dies, auto attack, perfect. So our auto attack timer is working, even if we, and so actually let's double check. Click him, auto attack on, we see it going down. It looks like it's about 1.5 seconds. So we know our little timer should be working. Target another monster, auto attack on, it killed it. Target another monster. We'll make sure it's a fresh one. Auto attack on, off, on. On, off, on. On, off, on. You notice there's no way if I toggle the attack on and off multiple times, it is not attacking faster then 1.5 seconds, no matter how many times I push the button. So we know our little timer reset thing worked properly. Okay, cool. We managed to spend, look at this. Look at this. Here's Node. Here's our Node server. We spent 0 time in the Node server today. No time working with JavaScript. Just working on Unreal Engine. I managed to go over the 2 hours because I apparently forgot to pay attention. But we managed to do it all inside of Unreal Engine. We got ourselves our basic auto attack working. We have some targeting working. We have our death system validated and working properly. Our loot system is working properly with the death validation set up. We remembered we need to give health and mana to monsters because we kind of forgot. In theory, here's my loot table for the monster right here. In theory, this should work. We kind of need to test this. So I'm going to wrap this up. I appreciate everyone hanging out. I appreciate everyone giving feedback. I appreciate everyone who asked questions, gave us some distractions from this evil project. I am super happy now with the progress. It looks like we're going to start being able to make a lot more of the systems in Unreal Engine and a lot less of the, for me personally, less fun stuff inside the database server. Because all the JavaScript is our database server connection. All of our actual game logic is inside of Unreal Engine itself, and that's a lot more fun to program. We actually get stuff working. Tomorrow is an epic stream, so let's see if we can figure out what they have tomorrow. So we'll find our forums. We'll go to events. Tomorrow is the 6th, so we find the 6th. Here we go. So tomorrow's stream will be about Robo Recall performance optimization. We're going to have Nick and Jeff, and they're going to talk about stuff they learned in making Robo Recall, which is really cool. So that makes me happy. Because this is a lot of fun to pick apart if you guys haven't done it. So that will be tomorrow's stream from Epic at 11 o'clock. My next stream will be Friday, 10 o'clock Pacific, approximately 2.5 hours before now. We will work on whatever questions people have, like normal. Any questions, topics, things like that come up, I'll be more than happy to try to help out. If not, we will be working on this stupid MMO project, which I eventually should name properly at some point, but we'll be working on the project. I'm thinking we will work on getting some form of a UI set up for the enemies. I think that would be fun. That way we can actually see when we're targeting the enemies, their life as it goes up and down. And that's always a lot of fun with replication and multiple people as well. So I think we'll work on that. I actually don't know how that's going to work with multiple people. If you notice, we've only been testing with one person in this game at a time. I have tested before with multiple people in, and it is working fine. That's not really an issue. And since everything we're working on is nothing that needs to be differentiated between different people, we haven't had to test it yet. I have a feeling Friday we'll have to when we start working with the UI, because we'll have to make sure that, for example, if I see the wolf and you see the wolf, whenever the wolf's life gets updated, the UI for the wolf gets updated as well. So we'll work on that. And I don't know, something else. Probably fix the loot to make sure the loot table works properly. Right now we're faking the loot. So we'll work on stuff. We'll figure it out. Other than that, I hope everyone has a good rest of their day. You feel free to catch me on Twitch, on Beam, on YouTube, on Twitter. If you need to make a request or has any questions or something like that, feel free to leave a comment on YouTube as needed. That's probably the easiest way. I read through the comments every day. I think that's it. Let's see. Julian is asking if I have time for one more question. Feel free to ask. Middle. Yeah, I think I'm on the right track using rep notifies, which is why I realized I needed to do that when we were in the process of setting those up. But it's more of an issue of the fact that what I don't know yet, this is just, I got to figure this out, obviously, is the UI is going to be client-side only. And let's say I have the monster targeted and you have the monster targeted. When the life changes, the UI is going to have to be notified that the life changed. only of course assuming that it's got it as a current target. So it's going to have to, I'm going to have to have some way of tracking current targets. And then if we go into the point of UI in the world, for example, UI in the world probably won't be an issue, I guess. We can assign the UI element to the monster, and then when the so UI in the world won't be an issue. It's more about UI locally. What I mean by that is if we're playing and I have a target bar here, this is my current target, and I'm targeting this monster. When its life changes, my UI on my client has to know that the monster's life changed in order to update it. So it's more of like hooking into things, I guess. I'll have to figure out maybe a creative use of event dispatchers. That might be interesting to try. Basically hook and unhook an event dispatcher. I am waiting for a question, by the way, Julian, while I'm just babbling on. Look at that. Middle was like right on track with what I'm thinking. Make an event dispatcher on target change and call inside the rep notify. Look at that. I'm glad you said that. That makes me feel better about my thought process. Basically, yeah, have an event dispatcher and set that up somehow so whenever we target something, we can be notified of whenever the life changes for the rep notify. That might be interesting. Okay, let's see. I'm unsure if you know the game Rust. It was built in Unity. I do know about Rust. Never played it, but I do know about it. Built in Unity, has a building system. For my game, I plan to create a building system similar to an RTS. The buildings are component-based. And I'm guessing there's more from Julian. We're just waiting. Or you just, yeah, what's the actual question in regards to that, Julian? Hence, you can build a building from the foundation up and it's destructible. I've actually done a couple different videos on some things similar to this. It's not that difficult in Unreal Engine to do it. You can do multiple different ways based on how you want to set it up. For example, let me close down this project. Let me close down my servers. I'll show something really simple. This did not take a lot of time to do. Can we terminate my batch jobs, please? There we go. Okay, so let's see if we can find it. If I can remember where I put it. There's a lot of stuff I can't remember where I put. If you notice, my organization skills are horrible in here. I start up multiple projects and then I never name them properly, which is not a good thing to do, by the way. I actually need to go through here and clean this out. It's kind of why I started the playground, but I started the playground after everything else. We built a little system here. For basically customizable houses. So, like for example, I can click and I can drop a house. The houses have doors and rooms we can go into. We can place stuff inside of them in terms of building. And we can customize things and they can be saved and loaded. But I made a line trace building. Here we go. I think this is what I'm looking for. Yeah, here we go. I made a line trace building system. So as you can see here, we have a basic platform. So kind of like your foundation. And I can go around, and these green things don't actually exist in the world. They're kind of a temporary thing I've created using a line trace. And you'll notice this one is slightly different based on the foundation. And if I click, I can actually build items and objects. You'll see I can click and remove or click and add. And it's actually adding physical parts to the buildings. So I actually have custom meshes I'm building for my stuff. And I can add and remove them based on how I design these little collision volumes. And these collision volumes, if we go into our building and we find the way I've set it up, they're just custom boxes and meshes I've set up to listen and create themselves. This is a very, very basic system, but it's kind of like what you're asking. you could create a foundation blueprint, which I actually did. If you look here, this is our building blueprint right here. This is our foundation blueprint, and it defines things you can do. So for example, I defined 4 walls to define the outside. And then when my game itself, it just dynamically fills in things. That's why you can see this one's different. If we were to look at this, and we looked at our boxes right here, these are our 4 walls. You can see I just simply made this one bigger. I could have technically this one be 150. So you see how it's a little bit taller. So now when I go over here, you'll see it actually responds appropriately. It's just something I defined in the blueprint. So we can have like a tall wall, a medium wall, and a small wall. Those are just simply basic setup. Responding to line traces, responding to events. So for example, I click the mouse, I tell this blueprint right here, okay, go ahead and draw your mesh. So you would do things like, okay, go ahead and draw this piece, or if the player clicked on something like, we have another one which, what did we call? House decorating. I don't remember if it's in here or if it's in, oh no, it's a, oh, it's in the old WTF. I'm pretty sure it's in here. Give me a second to find it. Let's see. How difficult is blueprints? Better be done in C++. It won't be difficult in either one. Animations built into UE4. Destruction or the assets you create yourself. You can do asset destruction inside of Unreal Engine if you would like. There is a destruction system built in. This was the example I was trying to load up right here. So let me load up this example. And here is, here's a little thing we built. My little guy can go around. We have 3 different houses. You can actually see they're all different. We can go into our houses. I can go ahead and, for example, create an item. Like here's a lamp. So I can build myself a little house, kind of like Animal Crossing. I could put myself, you know, this is a little bed. I could resize it. I can rotate it. I can put it into position. Like here's a little picture. You can see we could click on things and pick them up and move them around. So we can build and design our house. If we were to leave, for example, and come back, all that stuff is still there because it's stored persistently in a save game object. You know, we can pick up and remove things. I had a setup where we can have different layouts, for example, if we wanted to. This was a concept that I did cover. We did this during the live stream. I also did a video series on it explaining the stuff, and the source code is there. But all this was done in blueprints. It's super performant. We use line traces every tick for laying out items. So you could do something kind of similar to that setup plus the other setup where you have predefined spots to put things and build things. You know, like you could click 1, it pulls up a wall. As you saw there, I was just simply, you know, we'll go back in. I hit 1, it pulls up a wall, for example. You could have that wall snap to certain points. You could click it again to build that wall into a certain point. So now, you know, we're building our little house or whatever it is. That's all totally doable. If we're getting this error just because my instance isn't set up, this isn't a problem. You can ignore those errors in here. But yeah, those are not an issue. Destructible objects aren't a problem. You can pretty much take any item. I actually covered destruction. I don't remember where I covered destruction, but I did cover destruction somewhere. Wonder if I called it. I wonder if I called it destruct. No, I covered destruction somewhere, and my cat just walked. I can't see past my cat. Here we go. But destruction's not too much of a problem. You could, for example, have a mesh in here, and we could create a destructible version of it, and then you can see we need to actually explode it. And this is where I don't remember. Oh, crud. I always forget. Oh, fracture. I need to actually fracture it. There we go. And you can see built into the engine, we've now created like a little bit of a destructible. We've made it a destructible mesh out of an existing mesh. And you can see we have our original, and then we have our destructive version. These are all settings you can adjust to how much it's gonna, destruct and what it's gonna look like and stuff like that. But so you could do this inside of the engine if you wanted, or you could, for example, create an actual model inside of Maya or Max or something as a destructible version, and you just swap it out at runtime. The player attacks the wall. Once it gets to the destroyed state, you destroy the actor, the solid wall, and you spawn in the destroyed wall and let it play its animation or whatever you want. But the actual a destructible mesh system is built into the engine as well, as you can see here, and super simple to set up. Really complicated to get working right, but it is super simple in there. Yeah, so that should answer all the questions, hopefully. How stable is PhysX after the game is compiled? I've had no issues with it. It's using a newer version of PhysX that I know works as well as any other implementation. Destructible assets is easy to make, and is it possible to let them stay on the ground as obstacles? Well, you saw how easy it was to make the destructible object. I literally grabbed the object like a box brush here, created a destructible mesh. I told it to fracture it based on these settings, and there's my destructible mesh. Now, if I was to apply damage to this destructible mesh, I'd have to apply damage to it, which I don't think I can apply it by dropping it. Let me see. I actually need, let's see if we can. I don't think I have this set up for any sort of fall damage. I'm trying to remember this. Simulate physics. I don't think this is going to work with, yeah. But if you have it set up, for example, on collision to apply damage, then it will fracture. The pieces themselves have their own settings. The debris settings right here, they have their own settings. You have lifetimes, as you can see here. The biggest issue, I believe, is destructible mesh debris do not have collisions. I can't be sure on that one. I can't remember. I didn't spend a lot of time with destructible meshes, and you can see you have, stuff like here. I don't think you have collision on the actual fragments. You would have to do something like doing that in a separate system, like Maya, and creating your fragmented version and then setting up collision on that. There may be workarounds. I can't guarantee it. I didn't spend a lot of time, but the actual destructible mesh isn't too hard. Let's see. Hope that in the future during development, there's a place I can get some insight when doing our custom building system. I don't know if you've joined this yet, but if you go here, if I can get it. I can't friggin' remember how to do HTTP. Did my brain break that much? This is what I'm trying to do. Oh my gosh. Okay. This is what I'm trying to link. Okay, so if you go here, this is the Unreal Slackers Discord channel. There is a lot of separate sub-channels inside of there. Animation, art, AI, every basic part of the engine itself. There's thousands of people that hang out, they chat, they try to help people out. So that's a good place to start. Just stay out of the lounge or general unless you want to become offended very easily. It is a general lounge place where people just talk about whatever they feel like. It is just, and when you have thousands of people, chat can get very weird. But the actual sub-channels are very well organized and work very well for specific information. And on that note, I've managed to successfully not do what I said, and we've gone an hour past my stream. And I have no problem with it. I did it. Everyone else helped me do it. I have no problems with that. I appreciate all the chatting. But I actually have a kid coming home anytime now, so I definitely have to go. Again, I'll wrap it up. Everyone have a good rest of their day. 3 hours before now, roughly 10 o'clock Pacific on Friday, will be my next stream. I hope everyone has a good rest of their day. The stream's going to basically go dead for about 30 seconds so I don't just mysteriously disappear due to lag and stuff like that on every different service. And that's it.